Hello, hello, greetings and bienvenue. Hi, we're back once again for more Gradius Eternity 2. How's it going? Also, hi earlier to Zoku. I came back from. I gotta just go off onto the side and do stuff. But yeah, welcome, welcome. Hope you have a good lurkish while you're here. This is gonna be me reading a lot, and if you like me reading, then oh boy, do I got a treat for you. Hope you had a good day. It was pretty alright. I had to do more work stuff today, so it was all Gucci. But yeah. Now it's the weekend, so I'm gonna be... I want to say slacking off, but I'll be playing Guild Wars all weekend, pretty much. I'll be stuck in Guild Wars. But it's okay. It's only 4 days. We'll get through it. But yeah, welcome, welcome. More farming meats? Actually, it'll be spending the meats. Very, very, very much meats. So many meats. So many meats. Will I get through all 15,000? I don't know. We'll fucking see. So, yep, we shall see. But anyways, welcome, welcome. We're continuing episode 3 today. We went through the investigation part 1. Last time we went through the court case, which was 2 parts. But now we're continuing the investigation again because the court section. Look, we had to take a legal break, as it were, because more evidence came to light. So we're gonna be investigating today, and that'll be the entire segment of the game today. So sit back, relax, fall asleep, you know, whichever. And have a good old time.
Oh, this room. It's been too long. It hasn't changed in the slightest, though. And it's been some 6 months, hasn't it? That's a long time for things to say so familiar.
I didn't know when you might return, and I wanted everything to be as you'd left it. But it has been some 6 months, it's true.
So is your father alright, Susie? What happened? My father? Yes, Professor Makatoba. I mean, it was half a year ago, but that's why you went back to Japan.
Oh, wait, oh, I read the wrong name. Because of the telegram he received saying he'd fallen ill with a very high fever for some unknown reason.
That's right. So I was surprised to learn you'd be coming back so soon. Surprised but happy. I think I wrote about it in my letter to you, that it was all a trick. My father is in fine health, and I'm obviously very relieved about that.
Well, we're all delighted to have you back.
It was quite by accident that I've been able to return to Europe, actually. It's because of a very grand conference called the International Forensic Science Symposium.
The International Forensic... That's the same symposium Lord Strongheart mentioned. Oh yeah, he did mention that in the first part of this.
Anyway, I've arrived safe and sound, and all that matters is that I'm here now. After all, I haven't yet fulfilled my promise to you, Iris. Oh!
You must tell us everything that happened while you were back in Japan.
Yes, of course, I shall.
And, there's one other thing. Something you wrote in your letter that particularly grabbed my attention. About you know who. About Cosma.
I know. I'll tell you all that I can.
Alright, so we're gonna get some more background info on the overall plot that's going on.
When I first arrived back in Japan, I really thought I'd never be allowed to return to Britain. But curiously, after that awful trial at the Supreme Court, Father's mood changed entirely.
The awful trial? Oh, yes. For the murder of Giselle Brett.
Oh! You dressed as a man then, didn't you, Susie? Oh, well, yes. Since women are forbidden in the courtroom, I had no choice. Wow! Amazing! I wish I had seen it. Don't you, Bruno?
Yes, I suppose so.
I want to play it being a lawyer now. I could wear a false mustache, maybe.
I don't think any mustache can hide the fact that you're just 10 years old, Iris. There's something else I've been wanting to ask you, Mr. Sato. It's about the real reason why Professor Mikotobo summoned you back to Japan. You said in your letter it was something to do with that convict's loot we found in Mr. Natsume's lodgings.
That's right. The very large dog collar we found with the bee emblem on it. It seems Mr. Natsume included a drawing of the collar in the report he submitted about his time in Britain. I understand that when Father saw the report, he turned as white as a sheet.
Why would that be, then?
Father came to Britain himself, of course, to study. It was some time ago now, but he stayed for 6 years. I can only imagine that something must have happened during that time. But if he refuses to tell me what it was, then I intend to find the answers for myself. And I've decided that I, for one, won't keep any more secrets. Oh, Susie!
That's a very meaningful look Sasato-san's giving Iris there. Oh, good to know. Lord Strongheart mentioned something about that symposium, too. I think he said that investigative authorities from 40 different countries would attend.
Yes, and from Japan, my father and Judge Jigoku have arrived.
Oh, have been invited.
It's something of an honor, I believe.
Well, Professor Mikotoba is the leading expert in forensics medicine in our country, after all. But, who's the other person you mentioned? A judge, did you say?
Yes, His Excellency, Judge Seishiro Jigoku. You've met him, Mr. Naruhodo. Last year, in the Supreme Court. You can't possibly have forgotten.
Killa, good evening, Pogu. Welcome, welcome.
That terrible trial of yours when you were accused of murder.
Yes, I try to think of that as a positive turning point in my life these days.
Well, it was Judge Jigoku who presided over that trial.
If I'm perfectly honest, I'd be happy never to see that man's face ever again in my life.
Oh, well, anyway, as Father was invited to the symposium, he agreed to me returning to Britain too. He won't actually arrive until next month, but, well, I couldn't wait. So I pleaded with him, and in the end he agreed to me going on ahead.
Yes. About the symposium. It seems as though Lord Strongheart has put in an awful lot of work to make it happen. It's obviously very important.
I believe it is, yes. As I understand it, Lord Strongheart organized the entire event himself. I think he's hoping that by achieving exceptional results, he'll get the job of Attorney General.
The most senior position in the British justice system.
He's hoping to use his power to create the world's finest policing institution. That's what Father said anyway. Apparently it's Lord Strongheart's lifelong ambition.
Does Professor Mikotoba know Lord Strongheart personally then, I wonder? Actually, Lord Strongheart gave me a long speech about this very subject only yesterday. But I sort of lost the will to live early on and didn't really listen much to it.
How trying for you.
Giselle Brett. The woman whose unforgivable actions ended in me being wrongly accused of a crime I didn't commit. The murder of Dr. John H. Wilson. Yes. Giselle Brett. That's a name I won't forget for as long as I live.
The extraordinary thing is, though, it seems it's a name we should all forget.
Sorry?
Since the incident, our government's intelligence services have been investigating Miss Brett. But it turns out that an Englishwoman by the name of Giselle Brett didn't actually exist.
Huh. So it was a fake name. Didn't exist? But how can that be?
It was a pseudonym. Her real name was Shin.
Okay.
And she wasn't a visiting student either. That was a front.
A front? Who on earth was she then?
Miss Asian.
Oh. Miss Asian. God damn it.
Her name is literally all our intelligence services. Her name is literally all our intelligence services have been able to ascertain about her. Nobody knows why or even how she came to be in Japan. It's a complete mystery.
But that makes no sense. It's no easy task to be accepted as a foreign student anywhere. What could the woman have been up to?
I'm afraid I really don't know. The only thing that we can be sure of is that she had some business in our country that we don't yet understand.
And now she's been killed. Just lost the will to live. Just like me for real. While all the questions surrounding her existence remain unanswered. For real, for real.
I'm afraid so.
Shin. Who on earth was she? And why do I feel as though I've heard that name before somewhere? Have we? Was that one of the names that was listed off at the end of the first game, maybe? Maybe? Interesting. Curiouser and curiouser.
After my friend Ray's trial, the reporter who actually killed Miss Brett said something very strange.
Oh yeah, this guy. Did I read him? I think I read him like a extra, read all about it kind of guy. I know the truth. I know you had a hand in what went on in that visiting student's fate. Nobody here in Japan knows anything about it. They don't know that the guy never made it to England, that he died on that steamship, and that he'll never...
Obviously, I couldn't ask him to elaborate at that time. But later, I visited the man in his prison cell and asked him what he was going to say about Kazuma-sama.
And what did you learn?
After he died on the voyage to Great Britain, his body should have been unladen at the port of Hong Kong and passed into the care of the consulate staff there.
Should have been?
Well, it turns out that his body never arrived.
Oh. So that weird guy that we met in the first part. Huh. Was that actually him then? Listening to Drago narrating truly sad. I'm reading you a bedtime story. I hope you're enjoying yourself.
It just disappeared.
What? Cosmo's body? Vanished?
Our government tried to cover the fact up, it seems. They erected a grave on the cliffs by our hometown. Except Cosmo-sama isn't there.
Did Professor Mikotoba know about this?
Yes, it would seem that he did. But he didn't tell me. They're still investigating what happened to Cosmo-sama's body as we speak.
I just don't believe it. What is this acute feeling of apprehension I have all of a sudden? Wow, we're really getting into the deeper mystery of this entire game. In this small first part. Thinking back now, some of the things that happened on the SS Buriad were definitely strange. I mean, after he died, we never saw his body again, did we? Could it be? Could it be that he's actually still alive?
Stop it, Mr. Naruhodo. It's too much to bear.
I'm sorry. I didn't mean to.
Just thinking about the possibility pains me so very much.
Oh yeah, they were kind of like siblings.
Cast your mind back for a moment, Mr. Naruhodo.
So it really is Naruhodo? I love it. Yeah! It actually is Naruhodo for this one. Because it's like his ancestor and all that fun stuff. Yeah, Sholmes. Himbo.
When Kazuma-sama was discovered, Mr. Sholmes was there, wasn't he? And he definitely examined the body. I remember it clearly.
You're right. Herlock Sholmes. Definitely not Sherlock Holmes. Absolutely not. Nope, nothing to be afraid. So if Kazuma hadn't actually been dead at all, it would mean that Mr. Sholmes had lied to us.
But there's no reason why he would possibly have done such a thing.
I suppose it's true, yes.
The idea that he might still be alive somewhere. It wants to fill me with hope, but I can't let it. Because if it turned out not to be true, then I'd be back at the bottom of that awful pit of despair again.
She's crying, no!
I'm terrified of what that might do to me.
Oh, Miss Usato. I know she's giving the idea the thought it deserves. It's Usato-san we're talking about after all. So I probably shouldn't push it now. Alright, I guess that's everything here. Oh, right, I can examine the room. Oh, you are here. Hi, Iris.
It must be about a year ago now. I wrote a really long story based on some of my father's own notes. It's about one of Hurley's greatest exploits. I called it The Hound of the Baskervilles.
But then Mr. Sholmes forbade you from publishing it and put the manuscript somewhere nobody could get their hands on it.
So nobody knows anything about it apart from Hurley and I. But for some reason, you knew the title of it, didn't you, Susie?
Oh, are we finally getting the reveal on this? Ooh.
Oh, it sounds so exciting. The Hound of the Baskervilles. I should love to read it. And you wouldn't tell me how you'd come to know it. Yes, but I made you a promise that I would explain one day, didn't I? I think it's time.
Oh, hell yeah, finally, more plot. More plot. Let's go. Even more plot.
Oh! I'm only sorry I've had to keep it from you for so long, Iris. It was completely by accident that I came to know the title of your manuscript, Iris. It was a short while before we left Japan. I was cleaning Father's study and I saw something on his writing desk. A large box of papers. There was a label affixed to the box that was written in English. It read, The Hound of the Baskervilles.
What?
My Baskerville story? Of course, I had no idea what it was at the time. but Father came in and...
Susato, what are you doing?
Oh, Father!
Did you look at those papers?
No, I simply read the label, that's all.
Well, put it out of your mind.
Sorry?
Forget you ever saw it, and certainly don't tell anybody else about this. Do you understand?
But what was Iris's manuscript doing in Japan?
I have no idea. But when I heard this Iris mentioned the word Baskerville that day, the title just slipped out. I would never have guessed that it was an unpublished account of one of Mr. Sholm's exploits. When I returned to Japan, I asked Father to explain, but he refused to answer any of my questions, and there was no sign of the big box in his office. That's really all I know about it.
Hi, Kiro, welcome.
I've no doubt that Father has a very good reason for being so secretive about it, but still.
Hope you're going to case too. I am, Kiro. This is so much lower bomb dropping at the beginning of this investigation section. It's so... finally! Plot! The reveal! But yeah, I hope you had a good stream. Yeah, part 2 investigation. I'm really curious where we're going with it.
I made up my mind to explain myself to both of you. Well, thank you for being so honest, Susie. So, Mr. Naruhodo, I'm ready to start investigating if you are. I've committed every detail about the case to memory. And Iris has told me about the disturbing happenings at the Waxwork Museum as well.
So, you're fully abreast of the situation already, Mrs. Sato? I'd expected nothing less, to be honest.
I would think our first port of call should be to investigate this Mr. Drebber, the engineer responsible for building the elaborate machine that was used to effect this extraordinary trick.
Yes, a conjurer of sorts, by the sounds of it, and well known in the fields of science and magic.
Then, we need to go and arrest him.
Well, yes. He must know the truth behind this case, so I agree we really do need to find the man.
It sounds like it's a case of tracking someone down.
Oh, wherever that go, my accent.
Which is a job for the police, or a great detective.
Are we supposed to guess who she might be thinking of? We don't have much time, so we need to get started straight away, I think.
Good idea. Well, best of luck then.
Oh, you're not coming today?
I'm going to Brixton Road shortly for the herb market. But let me know later how you get on, won't you?
That was a little abrupt. The pull of the herb market must be strong. Unfortunately, yesterday was 420, so I can't make that joke. Ba-dum-bum. As always, going into this room, the shoe is distracting me. Oh wait, is he in prison already? Maybe? Oh my god, he's popping off. Okay, I have to warm up his voice in a bit. What's he doing?
Oh my! The whole wall of the cell is covered in mathematical equations!
And he's still writing some more. Professor, sorry to interrupt. Okay, I gotta work.
Ah, Perry the Platypus. Perry the
Okay, I think.
Oh, Mr. Naruhodo. And who is this young lady? My name is Miss Susato Mikotoba. I'm Mr. Naruhodo's judicial assistant. It's a pleasure to meet you, Professor... Oh, if only! If only I'd met a refined young woman like you sooner! None of this would have happened. No, that's not logical. That makes no sense at all. Oh dear, I'm sorry if my presence here upsets you.
I owe you an apology too, Professor. I didn't manage to deliver what I promised you I would in court this morning.
Oh no! The whole thing, the whole miserable affair. It all happened because I'm been such a complete and utter clot. Professor Hairbrain, what have you been working on in your cell? Oh, you mean that? Oh dear, how embarrassing. I was suddenly struck by an idea, you see, and I simply had to write it down. The wall was all I had to hand. Right on hand.
Oh, is it some sort of new hypothesis? Something to surpass the super high voltage instantaneous kinesis, maybe?
Yes, well actually, no. This is my autobiography. Your autobiography? How I was diddled and fiddled by Albert Hairbrain. I found that I can represent my odd fortunes with only odd numbers in an ambitious set of simultaneous equations. Really? I'm going to have to pay back all the loans I took for the kinesis machine, you see. So it's going to be a new serial publication from next month. Part 1. An Odd Birth, an Odd Upbringing. Where my parents both failed to show up.
You can't beat the man's optimism, that's for sure. I see. Well, for now, would you mind if we talked a little more about the case?
Oh, yes! Yes, of course! I've been working through the numbers. I was diddled! I was fiddled! By the pair of them! By Asmund, and by that aloof engineer, Trevor.
We're not going to have to sit through an explanation of all these equations, are we? Oh boy. Alright, buckle up. It's gonna be a lot of this voice.
Everything I believed in has been turned on its head. My research, Mr. Asmund, the kinesis machine, my hypothesis even.
I'm sorry it's come to this. There was really no other way.
No, it's not your fault. I wanted to protect my work, but in the end, there was nothing worth protecting. It was never my intention to deceive anyone. I didn't want to trick the public. No, of course you didn't. But in court this morning, I realized something.
No?
If you've done something wrong without knowing it, you've still done something wrong! Logically, it makes no difference if you are aware of it or not. Ignorance is a poor excuse. The blame still lies with me. Oh, Professor. He believed in me this morning, you know. Barak did. He believed in my hypothesis.
Well, I think that was just a necessary factor in the prosecution establishing its case.
No. Barak wouldn't do something like that. Or Barak. I'm sure he genuinely believed it.
Did he?
I think I understand now. Why it was that he decided to take on the prosecution in my trial, I mean.
Really? You have an idea?
After the terrible accident happened, nobody would believe in my hypothesis anymore. Not the police, not the prosecution service, not my lawyers, not even my parents, not my... we don't gotta go there.
I feel like I dealt some kind of finishing blow there.
So, if any other prosecutor had taken the case, if it was anyone other than Burke, I'm sure the prosecution would have declared my hypothesis complete and utter nonsense. And in that case, you would have been declared a fraud yourself, Professor. Exactly, which would have been a fate worse than death for me. But Barrack insisted that I was a proper man of science from start to finish.
You think that's why he...
I know him very well indeed. He's an extremely kind-hearted soul. But that extremely kind-hearted soul spent all morning trying to paint you as a murderer, didn't he? Well, admittedly, that part of the analysis appears to have some flaws in it.
I mean, what about the whole Reaper side of things? How does that fit in with the kind-hearted soul idea?
Do you think he set out to trick me from the very start?
I'm sorry to say, that does seem likely, yes.
When I first met him, he introduced himself as a wealthy financier. He looked over the paper I'd written and said my work would benefit all humanity and must be pursued. He was so enthused. He was so empathic.
But in reality, he was the mastermind of some vast criminal network, it seems.
I still can't believe it. As the machine was essentially a set decoration for some stage magic. It probably didn't require a large amount of investment, actually.
But the scale of it! It wasn't just some small trick. It was a very elaborate feat of deception.
All young scientists are full of hope about their burgeoning ideas, full of zeal. But none of us have any money! We want to do research, but we can't afford it. Not all of us have alimony, you know. Many of us take on barely legal part-time work to try to earn just a few measly pennies to carry on. To go through all of that only to be taken for a complete fool is too rotten to believe.
It is, I agree. And that's why we have to find those responsible and bring them to justice. Mr. Asmund is no more, of course, which leaves only the engineer.
Mr. Enoch Trevor.
Enoch is like a very... It really feels like really an old villain name, you know? Enoch. Like it really kind of gives that like ancient horror kind of feel, you know? Is he an engineer? Or a magician? Or a swindler?
It was about a year ago when Mr. Asmund first brought Trevor to meet me at my laboratory. Since then, I've met him many times to discuss details about the kinesis machine. But at no point did you have any inkling that he...
But at no point did you have any inkling that he was just an illusionist?
Oh, he definitely wasn't just an illusionist.
What do you mean?
He was a wealth of deep scientific knowledge. There's no question that the man's a genuine scientist. It's instantly apparent in conversation.
I see.
But the wretched man deceived you, Professor. It's unforgivable. We must do everything we can to find him and bring him to justice. Are there no more clues that you can give us as to his whereabouts? I'm sorry. We only ever discussed the kinesis machine. Nothing else. Although, just once, I did visit his workshop.
What workshop?
Drebber's enormous fabrication laboratory, where he constructed my great machine.
Her slow head turn. We're like, this man is actually stupid. Why didn't you mention this before? You know, Drebber's workshop. There's every chance we might find the man there. So you've been to Drebber's place of work then?
Yes, just once. You understand. It was an enormous place. Plenty of room to construct a kinesis machine, you see.
Where can we find it? We have to go there at once. There's a good chance that we'll find Drebber there.
Well, yes, definitely. I'm sure. As in, I'm sure you're not going to want to hear this.
Oh no.
But I have absolutely no idea where the workshop is at all. I'm so sorry!
I was more than half expecting that.
You see, I was blindfolded in the carriage the entire way.
Oh, of course he was. He blindfolded you? He wasn't taking any chances then.
The place was incredible! The pinnacle of modern engineering. Even the oil he used was the very best. A special French machine oil that's impossible to obtain in Britain. Probably because it's in fucking... it's fucking Paris. Ah, the indescribable scent of that imported oil. Perfumers across the world should forget their secret formula and use that instead.
Ambergris. What do you think, Mrs. Sato? The machine for your next birthday?
I've never used any kind of perfume, Mr. Naruhodo, and I'm not sure I'd like to start with that. I don't suppose you know even part of the workshop's address, Professor? You don't have a business card from Mr. Drebber, for example?
The man was clearly very cautious to society.
Ah! Ha! Yes, I do! He gave me this business card once. It's right here. Look, it even says his name. Look, it's all written out and it's all pretty. Look at this. Look at this card stock. Like, this is really good card stock, man. Look at that. It's perfect paper.
What?
Let me see that.
Throw etiquette to the wind, why don't you?
Enoch Drebber, engineer. I'm afraid that's all it says. There's no address.
No. Oh well, I can't say I'm surprised. Still, this could be useful. Oh, okay, we're just pulling it in for evidence. Nice. So, anything else you'd like to talk to us about, sir? No? I guess we're just moving on. Yay! Oh my. You know, I don't believe we visited this place for some time. Okay, so that usually means that we have to go there. Yeah, usually that text means that they want you to go there. Who? Is that Drebber? Is that who it is supposed to be? Is there somebody cool?
Oh? Who's that standing beside Lord Strongheart? I wonder. I've never seen her before.
Oh. Oh no.
Ah, the young champion of the court. You had some success this morning, I understand. And you've thrown the entire government into disarray as a result.
Oh. You mean because of Professor Harebrain's experiment?
Sham science being demonstrated at London's great exhibition. The country's been made to look foolish, and our politicians are scrambling to respond. Lord Van Zeeks is in a Whitehall as we speak, giving an emergency briefing.
Oh dear. I didn't mean to cause any trouble.
None of this is your responsibility. The government is entirely to blame for having been taken in. The special dispensation that prevents investigation at the scene will be annulled later today. Once that happens, my forensic investigation team will move in and deal with that scrap metal in no time.
It's scrap metal now, is it? Surprising, considering the majority of it is wood, I think.
Until then, Lord Strongheart.
Yes, thank you.
Oh, there she goes. Oops. Who was that?
That was Dr. Courtney Sith, Scotland Yard's esteemed chief coroner. She's leading the forensic investigation team's handling of this case. She was just delivering her report about the victim, in fact.
Oh, I see. About Mr. Asman.
Following the outcome of the trial earlier, I asked the coroner's office to re-evaluate its findings. I don't have time to tell you what she concluded. If you want to know, you'll have to ask her directly. You can find her in the forensics laboratory.
Ah, right.
Now, what were you here to see me about? I can give you 7 minutes and 39 seconds of my time.
So he's not running quite so spectacularly late anymore. Spectacularly. Alright, I guess we're... Oh, I almost ditched him. I guess we're gonna talk to Strongheart for a bit. What exactly is the forensic investigation team that you mentioned before?
The British Empire's police force must become the most exemplary in the world. For that to happen, it's imperative that we embrace forensic science and everything it has to offer. I first created the forensic investigation team a year ago. Now, unofficially, of course, to pave the way.
Goodness, a year ago?
At next month's symposium, I intend to present the results of their work to the world. Once I do that, the Lord of House of Lords will be powerless to oppose the creation of a full-scale forensics division. And once that happens, the position of Attorney General will be mine, and criminals will suffer dearly.
What do you mean?
For too long, those scoundrels have made a mockery of our legal system with false evidence and bribes. But London's scum is about to be rounded up and burnt in the fires of hell. I intend to see to it personally. By creating the finest police force the world has ever known, to protect our honor and our future.
Look at those eyes. He means every word.
Dr. Sith is an extremely reliable coroner. When I officially establish the forensics division at Scotland Yard, she will run it as my right-hand woman. Now then, speaking of the symposium, Miss Mikitoba.
Oh, yes, my lord.
Your father should be on the high seas as we speak, making his way here to represent the Empire of Japan.
Yes, that's right. I understand he will arrive at the beginning of next month.
Are you acquainted, Lord Strongheart? With Professor Mikitoba, I mean.
It was many years ago now, but yes, I remember Dr. Mikitoba very well.
So he does know him. Okay.
If my memory serves, it was some 15 years ago now that your father came to Britain as a visiting student.
It was the year I was born. So yes, 16 years ago in fact.
Oh, okay. I feel like that 16 years ago might become very specific.
Mikotoba was a young practitioner of forensic science, and Shikoku accompanied him as a young, promising judge. The punctiliousness and politeness of the Japanese at the time impressed us greatly. Not that I wish to imply impoliteness or carelessness on your part in any way.
I didn't think that you were.
Dr. Mikotoba studied forensics at one of London's large hospitals. St. Sinners, if I'm not mistaken. Dr. Sith was also there then, as it happens.
Then Dr. Sith knows my father, does she?
She was a young medical assistant at the time, so I doubt their paths crossed regularly. But I've no doubt they knew each other, superficially. After all, Dr. Mikotoba was here studying his subject for some 6 years in total.
6 years? That's a long time to be studying abroad, isn't it?
I lived with my grandfather in those years.
So he left his newly born daughter behind and went overseas for 6 whole years?
It was a rather turbulent time at home.
Oh.
Perhaps father wanted a reason to get away.
What do you mean? Why? Well, clearly something was going on at the time. Oh boy. I wanted to ask you about Lord Van Seeks, actually. I heard that his older brother was killed some years ago by a mass murderer known as the Professor, who targeted nobles and royalty. Is that right?
You Japanese are a thorough lot. You've done your research well. Yes. And you could say it was that very incident that gave rise to the Reaper.
What? Why?
When his brother, Clint Van Zeeks, was murdered, it was just after young Barrack had graduated from the University of London and become a prosecutor. When obvious criminals who managed to evade the conviction of court started disappearing, rumors quickly spread throughout the capital. Londoners started to say that wherever Barrack Von Zeeks went, the ghost of his dead brother wasn't far behind.
Oh.
Oh my word.
So, Lord Van Zeeks isn't the Reaper. It's the ghost of his brother? Huh. More lore to this.
Ever since that time, he became a very aloof figure in London's legal circles.
Oh, I guess that's all the time we have for with Strongheart today. Oh, yes! Lord Strongheart.
Go ahead.
It's about Professor Harebrain's experimental machine. We'd like your permission to examine the remains, if it's possible.
Are you well versed in science, then?
Not in the slightest, in fact. You could say I was barely aware of the subject at all until recently.
Well, the special dispensation legally preventing your investigation of the machine is currently being annulled. Within a few hours, Dr. Sith's team of forensic experts will begin their own investigation. But I suppose until then, there's no harm in you looking at the wreckage, as long as you touch nothing.
Thank you! Being able to look at it is better than nothing.
And I'll be able to see it too.
Your time is up. You'll have to excuse me now, I'm afraid my next engagement calls.
We are extremely sorry to have troubled you when you were so busy, my lord.
I have important matters to attend to in preparation for the symposium. You understand.
Oh, there he goes. Well, we did get the forensics laboratory, so why don't we go over there? Whoa. The owl. Is that a real owl? A stuffed owl? Creepy. I believe this is it. Dr. Sitt's laboratory. That chemical smell really assaults the nose. And there's plenty to assault the eyes in here, too. Yeah, no kidding.
It looks as though the doctor isn't here. But we're here now, so we may as well do some sightseeing, don't you think?
What a seasoned tourist you've become, Mr. Sato. We could just have a little look around, being careful not to upset any restless souls. Alright, so the first thing we're probably going to do is look at this skeleton. Oh, there's not even background music. Well, look at this. What a magnificent display case. The cherry wood has been polished to a high sheen, and the intricate carving is a joy to behold. Western cabinet makers really are very skilled, aren't they?
Do you have nothing to say about the skeleton inside, Mr. Naruhodo?
Mr. Sato? Can't you tell that I'm trying very hard to avoid talking about the terrifying contents of the case? It's how I cope! Oh my god, he's dying. He's dead.
I'll be sure to remember that from now on.
Can we talk about these drawers? They're pretty.
That looks like an owl and a crow up there.
I know. And they haven't even twitched since we came in here.
Well, no, they wouldn't have. They're taxidermy mounts, Mr. Naruhodo.
Ugh. I was afraid you were going to say that. I've been trying very hard to tell myself they're just sleeping with their eyes open.
Yes, I think perhaps you were wise to put something like your Daruma doll on display in the office instead.
There's actually quite a bit to interact with. A table and a set of sharp tools. When you consider each in isolation, it all looks quite innocent. So why is it that when you put them side by side, they seem so horribly disturbing?
It might be best not to ponder it too deeply. Seeing the large tome that's open on the desk does make me wonder, though. How can anybody concentrate on bookwork with this acrid odor of chemicals in the air? You'd either have to have a cast iron constitution or a really terrible sense of smell. Oh, there's a spine in that one. Those large jars seem to have pale things floating around inside them. I suppose they're fruit liquors or something, or like the pickled umeboshi plums we make back home. Ah, Father had jars like that in his laboratory as well. I expect they're human organs in a preserving solution, probably as examples of some rare medical condition. Mr. Sato, there are some things in the world it's perfectly fine never to know about ever. Oh! So, as I said, I'm sure they're fruit liquors, or umeboshi, aren't they? Of course. This poor Naruhodo.
Look at all the bottles on the shelves in these cabinets. What an assortment of chemicals.
These ones here are labeled highly toxic.
Oh, great. Ugh, that's worrying, because there are also things that look like salt and pepper shakers in there.
Oh yes, and they actually say salt and pepper on them. The doctor probably spends a lot of time in this room, I suppose. Perhaps she has meals in here sometimes.
Life goes on, even when you're surrounded by death. Very deep. No, hold on.
I suppose this is Dr. Sit's desk.
Ugh, I would not like to work in a place like this.
It's very tidy, though, isn't it, Mr. Naruhodo? Imagine how efficiently she must work.
The lighting is poor, which is bad for the eyes, and the chemical smell can't be good for you. Not to mention the skeleton washing over you as you work, which is definitely bad for the nerves.
Well, yes, those are valid concerns, I suppose.
I can just about cope with a one-eyed Darumatal watching over me, but that's all! He's suffering. He's truly suffering. Anything else? Really? Nothing? Over here? Nothing? Hello? Here? Eh? Is that it? Did I find everything? Oh, no, here. The book. Look at this big, thick book here.
Ah, it appears to be an accounting ledger. It's a record of the forensic investigation team's spending, I think.
Oh? What is it?
It's clear that the team purchases various equipment and supplies on a monthly basis, but, well, one entry seems rather strange.
Really? In what way?
They're buying 500 scalpels every month.
500? They must be working really hard on dissecting corpses.
I don't know. Judicial autopsies are only carried out in certain special circumstances. And scalpel blades can be sharpened too.
It does seem a bit strange, you're right. 500 scalpels a month? What could they possibly be using them all of them for? Scalpels? Really? Why? 500 of them. I can't imagine what you would use them for other than murder. At this point. You know?
What are you even doing?
I don't even know how to voice this character. Sorry, we, had something we wanted to ask you, but you weren't here, so...
So you thought you'd snoop around. That's acceptable to you people from the East, is it? Well, what do you want?
Lord Strongheart told us, you see, that it was you who examined the victim's body. Or, Mr. Asmon's body, I mean.
So, we came to ask you about your findings on Lord Strongheart's advice. Very well. If the Lord Chief Justice has given his consent, I'll tell you what our investigation revealed. But when we're done, you must leave immediately.
I don't know if that's the right fit for design. Maybe even deeper.
So, what do you want to... You want to know what the forensic investigation team determined from its examination of the scene? The victim, Mr. Audie Asman, who disappeared from the experimentation stage amid an explosion. And the Mr. Asman, who appeared moments later, partway up this crystal tower, were without a question one and the same person. That is the team's conclusion. But that can't be right! Victory will be ours! If it was an elaborate trick, we can only speculate about how it was carried out. Let's see. If two people who looked very similar to each other were involved, they could have made it appear as if one single person had switched places, couldn't they? Very true. But sadly, in this instance, that was not the case. The man who disappeared and the man who subsequently reappeared was the same person. The fingerprints at the scene make that quite evident. Ah, fingerprints. They're not yet officially recognized as forensic evidence in the British justice system. But one day, they will be used as an investigative aid as a matter of course. Oh my, but that would mean that the instantaneous kinesis actually took place. So, where does that leave us? My team was tasked with investigating, not drawing conclusions. Instantaneous kinesis is impossible, and yet the body did move from one place to the other. This hasn't cleared anything up at all. It's made the whole thing even more of a mystery. Oh, did we not even... Mama? Who are you? Mama, what's this? Where did she spring from? And did she just call the doctor Mama? This is a lawyer, dear. Oh. Hello. To meet you? Pleased to meet you? Yes, I'm a defense lawyer. Ryunosuke Naruhodo. Mama? Yes? Can I cut this one up? What? Oh dear. Oh wait, hold on. I've never seen inside an Eastern person before. I want to know what it looks like. Of course you can't. It's a live specimen, as you can very well see. Boring. I think I just had a near-death experience. Oh dear, Mr. Naruhodo, you're as pale as a corpse. Now let's leave before I'm mistaken for one. Ma'am? So, what are you doing at the moment, Doctor? Keeping a close eye on things so no impertinent Easterners think they can look around my office. Are there such impertinent Easterners around? How terrible. Yes, you. She doesn't mince her words, Mr. Sato. I think perhaps it's time we left. Sounds like a plan to me. So, out of curiosity... Okay, so she's in the court record, but we don't have the other person yet. Well, nothing more there, so I guess we can go to the stage to look at the experiment. It's the Crystal Tower.
Oh, Gina's playing with the doggy.
I had no idea there were so many people in the world.
I know what you mean. It's really packed here today.
It feels as though it's taken us 2 hours just to make our way through the crowds to this point.
Has it? I shut my brain down, so I didn't really notice, to be honest.
Gosh, I do wish I had your absent of mind sometimes, Mr. Naruhodo.
Just calling you brain dead, sir.
There you are. I had the feeling your lot would show your mugs before long.
Oh no, I thought it was Gina. Apparently it was Gregson. Oh, Inspector Gregson! I see you're hard at work as usual.
Warm greetings to you. I do hope you've been keeping well since last we met.
What's with all the ceremony? We just saw each other in court this morning.
Not you, Sunshine. The gentlewoman so loyally at your side.
Oh! Why, thank you, Inspector. How good of you to notice.
He might be a bit rough around the edges, but he's still a proper English gentleman at heart, I suppose. As you've probably guessed, we were hoping to investigate the scene some more.
Right, well, that's the young trainee's domain. Oi, get over here, Gina.
The little doggo. Look at him go, little doggo.
She seems to be busy playing with a puppy. Probably giving it a traditional East End training.
Gina? She's a police officer now?
Amazing, isn't it?
She's a good kid, actually. Heart's in the right place, and anyway, she's got the detection bug, if you ask me. Yep, I think she'll follow in my footsteps nicely.
What do you mean?
I'm being transferred. It's time for me to say toodaloo to London.
Oh no, really?
That's a bit sudden, isn't it? I had no idea. Where are you going to be posted then? We'll come to see how you're getting along.
Not likely. But you're welcome to try. If you don't mind a trip to France, that is.
To France?
I'll be working in the Paris police prefecture. Should be right up my alley.
But France? It's an entirely different country. I don't understand. Why would you be sent there?
That's the way the adult world works, Sunshine. Now, don't go poking your nose in where it's not wanted. I'm intending to take the kid with me when I go.
What? You're taking Gina to Paris?
Well, I can't leave her here in London. Who knows what become of her?
I suppose he's worried she'd slip back into slipping into her hands into people's pockets and purses.
I don't think he's worried about her pickpocketing, Mr. Naruhodo. I think he's worried about the Reaper.
Oh! Of course! So that's playing on Inspector Gregson's mind too, is it?
Well, anyway, I haven't mentioned any of this to Gina. So don't go blabbing, you hear me?
No! Of course not.
I've got to keep that diving diva safe and sound. Until all this is over, at least.
Hoy! Did you just call me a bloomin' diving diva again?
So you heard that, did ya? Right, well. Any questions about the scene, you can put them to my capable detective diva here.
Oh, and he's gone.
Alright, you heard the boss. Inspector Lestrade's in charge here now.
I suppose I'd better keep my word and not mention anything about Paris. So, Gina, you've got a new dog, have you? Oh my god, he's so cute.
Isn't it great? Toby's his name. Oh, how delightful. He's absolutely adorable.
Yes, the dog does seem lovely. But it's the not so lovely Inspector Gregson that's playing on my mind, to be honest. I love how the investigating the scene turned into investigating the scene. Gina, we were actually hoping that we could investigate the scene again.
Yeah, alright. If it's around here, you can do what you like.
Oh, that's alright, is it?
I'm gonna be playing with my new friend here.
Ah, yes. Toby.
Aw. The machine that exploded must be at the top of those stairs, I presume. I haven't actually seen it yet, so if you don't mind. Sorry, you can't go up there, Sus. Oh. It's like I told Oda yesterday. Even if I ain't allowed near that wreck. Even I ain't allowed near that wreck. What's it called again? The reason we ain't supposed to touch it? The special
dispensation for scientific equipment act? Is that what you're referring to?
That's the one! That's why only them lot are allowed to investigate it. What are they called again? The forensic something.
The forensic investigation team? Is that what you're thinking of?
That's the one, yeah. But is it the case that the special dispensation has been lifted? I think so. I don't really got it, but to be truthful with ya, you're supposed to get permission from some bigwig or other as far as I know. What was his name again? Lord Strange something. I'm not sure that's quite right, Gina. I think you mean Lord Strongheart, perhaps? That's the one, yeah. Apparently he's always been watching the time or something. Actually, we've just recently been to see Lord Strongheart. Eh? Yeah, what? You've met him? Last time the boss was called to go and see him. He waited for 3 hours at the ghost office and came back sniveling.
Tragic.
Well, Lord Strongheart has given us permission to examine the scene, as long as we touch nothing. Oh yeah?
Honestly.
Alright then, go ahead. But if it turns out you're lying, it'll be the boss who gets it, and he'll never get even another chip again in his life. So, you're saying all this is above board, are ya? I'm sure everything will be fine.
That really would be tragic.
Alright then, them's the stairs. Off you go. Oh, thank you, Gina.
Well, we might as well talk to her the rest of the things because she might disappear.
It was great, wasn't it? I had a light laugh. It was a new one on me, that. You know, being in court and not spending the whole time worrying about it to be found out. You did keep an awful lot of secrets in all your previous court appearances, didn't you? Yeah, and Oda's made things hard for me every single time and all.
Just doing my job, Gina.
But watching someone else get in the neck is a lot of fun, actually. It was amazing when you showed that dodgy professor's dodgy experiment was a total fix. The dodgy professor, as you put it, Gina, is Mr. Naruhodo's client.
Yes, I'm starting to wish he wasn't, though.
Yes, the boss I feel sorry for. Sent off to do the impossible. What do you mean? He's supposed to arrest the other Koveni, and in time for tomorrow and all. You know, the dodgy engineer. What is his name again?
Mr. Drebber, you mean? Enoch Drebber?
That's the one, yeah?
So the police are looking for this mysterious man with the black monocle. I guess they would be.
He's putting too much on the boss, if you ask me. He says he's giving him a gut ache. Oh dear. But I do wonder if it isn't actually from all the fried food.
Oh, so does Gina know? So, Scotland Yard are trying to track down Mr. Enoch Drebber. I wonder if they've had any luck.
He's really funny looking. Got 2 eyes what don't match. Stole a glimpse of a picture of him earlier. I mean, I didn't actually pinch him or nothing. The old devil's got...
Sorry, who?
Yeah, no, the Skull and Reaper's what's always glugging down glasses of that blood red plunk. Ah, Lord Van Seeks. He's always at it in for me, that cove. Don't know what he's always scowling about, my mind. Probably would have been a pretty good boss as it goes.
She'd rather be the Reaper's apprentice than a detective's trainee. The way I see it, if the choice is between a chip-guzzling detective and a chalice-glugging demigod, you're equally bad off with both.
I suppose you're right. I hadn't thought of it like that.
I'm glad we put that one to bed.
Anyway, the point is, everyone at the yard's dead set on finding the fishy engineer. But there don't seem to be any clues that go on, so they're stuck.
There's nothing that can lead us to Drepper at all? Well, tell us about Toby. Toby's a good boy. Where'd you find that little mutt then, Gina?
Hi, don't be so flaming rude, Odo.
Slight overreaction, don't you think?
He ain't no mutt, alright? Toby's... how did they put it? Oh yeah, a bona fide detective.
Sorry?
I've given him a proper title and everything. It's Chief Inspector Toby to you.
More senior than Inspector Gregson, is he?
Oh, he's a police dog, is he?
The police recruit dogs now?
I've heard that they're already being used officially in Germany as part of their city policing. They're used for chasing criminals and such like. They have such a wonderful sense of smell, after all.
I have a fairly good sense of smell of myself as it happens. I can tell undergarments that have been freshly laundered from undergarments that haven't.
Ah, that's nothing compared to this little fella, Odo.
Not really.
According to what the boss said. Once Toby here's got a good whiff of your drawers, we could chase that sin to the other side of the world.
What? To the other side of the world? You mean he can swim?
Mr. Nanahoro, I think you may have missed the point by rather a wide margin.
I just can't believe this little dog has such an incredible skill.
I'm telling you, Odo, there's gonna be more and more dogs doing their bit for the police in future. Yes, I agree. Right? One of these days there'll be sparking orders at us lot, not the other way around.
Okay, have a good lunch, Kila.
Oh dear. Sorry, Gina. I don't think I agree with your vision quite that much. Well, anyway, whatever you think about that, Toby here is Britain's first police dog. I found him in the East End the other day. Someone had chucked him on the street.
There you go. I knew she'd lifted him from somewhere.
Oh, Gina, you're such a kind-hearted soul, aren't you? To children and to animals.
Alright, that's enough talking to Gina. Let's get a move on. These stairs lead up to the experimentation stage. Let's go see what we can find out. Yeah. Alright, so we can finally look at this thing. Alright, it was the cage that was made of wood. That's what it was. Ooh.
Oh my, so this is the machine that was used to deceive people into thinking instantaneous kinesis has taken place.
Yes, that's right. Or rather, it was the machine. It's a little worse for wear at the moment.
What extraordinary lengths Professor Harebrain went to in order to obtain a research grant.
No. The professor was tricked as well. He didn't know anything about it.
Yes, of course. It is amazing, though, isn't it? The scale of the whole affair is so very British.
You're right about that. You'd never see such a grand deception in Japan, that's for sure. No, I have a weird text message. Sorry, I gotta go check this out real quick. Or something. Please don't be work related. No. Oh, not again. Alright, if they call me, I'm hanging up.
Lord Van Seeks? So, I think we're more or less done here, aren't we? Shall we, Mrs. Sato? Already? He is the Reaper, remember? We'd do well to keep our distance, I think. But we have permission to be here, from the top! We're perfectly well allowed to investigate this machine, as long as we don't touch anything.
From the top? Do you mean Lord Strongheart?
Exactly. So we can stay here and stare at this wreckage for as long as we like.
She could have been at the center of the explosion here, and it wouldn't have been her steel well. Alright, so what do we got here?
What a terrible explosion it must have been. Even the steel girders have buckled and twisted in the blast.
And what they call the birdcage was right in the middle of it all, just here.
But look, Mr. Naruhodo, that metal grill on the floor.
Oh my god, please, not again. I keep getting texts from this really weird thing. I'm just checking if this is the same person from before. Yeah, sorry, this is a really weird semi-work related thing, so I just have to deal with this really weird thing. And I just want to make sure that they're not gonna do the whole spiel again. I'm just double checking through my notes. Sorry about that. Just checking. I think it's like kind of buried in my phone. Sorry, just checking this number again. Don't know why they're texting me again. It's really weird. Yeah, this is the same person from before. I don't know why they're texting me for like a different number, which is kind of annoying me. Yeah, if they call, I'm just not gonna answer. It's kind of dumb. Yeah, sorry I have to handle this right now. It's really dumb. It's really weird because it's from before, the same person, so... Yeah, sorry I have to handle this real quick. This is really dumb that it happened again. Alright, if they call, I'm just leaving it. Because I'm not dealing with this shit again. Okay, anyways.
Looks as though it's designed to open.
It does, doesn't it? If the floor had opened at the precise moment the explosion occurred... Ooh, so this is the trapdoor thing I was thinking about? The birdcage could have dropped through and disappeared from sight.
I don't think there's any doubt that this was a very elaborate hoax, is there?
Okay, let's see. Anything else we can observe if we talk to Lord Van Zieks?
Look at that horn-shaped transmitting device. Isn't it amazing?
That's exactly what I thought when I first saw it.
It makes you think, doesn't it? If only it had just been a normal horn, none of this would have happened.
That's almost exactly what I thought as well. I bet I can predict what you're going to say next in that case. You're about to say, nothing ever goes to plan, aren't you?
Oh no, I would never say something like that.
I can't believe she just roasted him. He's dead. I'm sorry. It's over. Does this just give flavor text again? Oh, because she's never been here.
Oh, isn't it exhilarating? All this different architecture from all corners of the world.
It does make you feel a bit like an explorer, doesn't it? I know it's all subjective, but the onion-shaped roofs have rather caught my attention personally.
It is very subjective, isn't it?
Japanese buildings with their wood and paper construction have excellent ventilation. And I've realized that British buildings being made from brick and stone are very strong and long-lasting. The more you know about how things are done in other countries, the more you understand your own, I feel.
Oh yes, I do agree with you there.
But I can't help wondering what an onion does for the roof of a building. I mean, I suppose it's playing on my mind because I don't have like the taste of onions.
You really oughtn't let your taste in vegetables dictate your taste in roofs, Mr. Naruhodo. I hear that a ride on the Ferris wheel is a favorite romantic outing among young London couples.
Companies. I think the romance would be slightly spoiled by the abject terror, personally. But then I'm not a Londoner.
Are you a little scared of heights, Mr. Naruhodo?
It's not that I'm scared, not at all. It's just that staying on the ground seems so much safer.
Well, perhaps I shall have to ask Iris and Mr. Sholmes to accompany me on in that case.
When you put it like that, part of me does want to give it a try.
Oh dear, it is complicated for you, isn't it?
Alright. Let us talk, Mr. Zieks. Least approachable man in the world winner, 10 years in a row. It's Lord Van Zieks.
Be strong, Mr. Naruhodo. Your country and your assistants stand firm behind you.
Lord Van Zieks?
What?
Well, beautiful weather we're having, isn't it?
You're fucking kidding me, right? I thought I was making it quite clear that I didn't want to be disturbed. Apparently, you Nipponese are unequipped to read the signs.
Oh, I read them.
So, what are you doing here? Entry to this area is prohibited.
Ah, well, the thing is...
Lord Chief Justice Strongheart granted us permission to investigate. On the condition that we didn't disturb anything.
And yet you've managed to disturb me. Never mind. State your business, then.
Come to think of it, There are quite a few things I'd like to ask Lord Van Zieks about. Not least of which is that awful case, even though it's nothing to do with this.
Ask away, Mr. Naruhodo. You won't know unless you try.
Good point. So, Clint. Was the name of your older brother, I understand. Lord Van Zieks.
You Nepalese. I always have to be on guard whenever you're around. So, you've been investigating me, have you?
Oh, no, it's not like that. Well, alright, it is a little bit like that.
My older brother was also a prosecutor. He was the pride of the Van Zieks family. But tragically, a vicious killer took him from us.
The professor, you mean? Is something funny?
That's the extent of what you've discovered, is it? I shouldn't be surprised.
Sorry? There's more to it then?
Lackluster work and pretty much your trademark, isn't it?
Ugh. You're too kind. Are you going to tar all Nipponese with the same brush next?
So tell me, what's your interest in that historic incident?
As it happens, Lord Van Zieks, there's a rather curious case that's come to our attention. Are you aware of the Madame Tuspel's Museum of Waxwork by any chance?
I am, naturally. I believe that since last month, I feature in one of the displays there, for public score.
Of course, the infamous Reaper the Bailey would have to be exhibited, wouldn't he?
Well, a particular waxwork has been stolen from the place and held for ransom.
A particular waxwork? Wait, you mean?
Yes, it's the professor. Mr. Sholmes is investigating the case as we speak.
I was unaware of that.
He's turned as white as a sheet. Curious. Are the police trying to locate the engineer, Mr. Drebber, already?
Surely that goes without saying.
We're very keen to see him found as well. The trouble is, we don't have much to go on aside from the description of the man we heard in court earlier.
Which, according to Professor Hairbrain, was of a tall, thin gentleman who has straight white hair and wears a black monocle.
So I was just wondering. I mean, I realize it's probably not possible, but...
We'd very much appreciate any more clues you can give us.
Wow, Susato-san really knows how to take the bull by the horns.
Fine. Why not? I have a photograph of the man here from an investigation 10 years ago. Though it appears he already had the black monocle at the time.
He kind of looks like Clavier.
What?
Oh, no. Nothing. I was just surprised that you shared that with us.
We all need the man's testimony in court tomorrow. Which means we have to do everything we possibly can to track him down in the short time available. So why wouldn't I show you the photograph?
What is it about Lord Van Zieks? Sometimes I just can't work him out at all. Alright, so we got a photograph of Drebber. He really does look like Clavier. Clavier? Ace Attorney guy. Oh, it's this guy again. Maybe Cosma.
Ah, the filer requested for the trial tomorrow. Thank you.
Are you alright?
Who is this man? Not Mr. Naruhodo?
Lord Van Zeek's apprentice, apparently. So I'm not the only one. Susato-san can see it too.
Lord Van Zeeks. May we speak with your apprentice for a moment?
With him? Why?
Kazuma-sama!
Kazu? Ma? I don't believe it.
Your posture. Your presence. It can only be... It's you, isn't it, Kazuma-sama?
It is him! Right? I felt something strange the very first time I encountered this cloak figure. As if I knew him somehow. Can it really be you, Kazuma? Wait! Too late.
What's going on here?
Oh. War.
What is your interest in my apprentice exactly? You act as if you know the man or something.
Well,
Since when has he been in your care? I don't recall you having an apprentice before I left Britain 6 months ago.
Lord Strongheart introduced him to me about 3 months ago now. With his instructions to mentor him as a prosecutor.
but he didn't tell you why, did he?
The man appears to be suffering from amnesia. He's forgotten every last detail about himself.
He has amnesia?
Tomorrow he will appear in court at my side.
What?
He's to serve as my judicial assistant on Lord Strongheart's orders.
He'll be in court with us? Huh.
Now then, unless I'm much mistaken, I believe this conversation has run its course.
Oh, yes, thank you. I definitely saw a reaction there. When Susato-san called out like that, it really seemed to hit a nerve. When she called out Kazuma-sama. Do we have anything interesting we can present him?
What's that?
Ah, it's just something I was hoping to ask your opinion about, that's all. Okay, so it's nothing. Huh. Can we go back downstairs? More time investigating here. Okay. Was there something else I missed? Well, other than hot air balloons. I don't know if this is important right now. However much I look at them, I just can't come to terms with those Temari handballs floating in the sky.
You've been glaring at them constantly since we came up here.
Sorry, the feelings of wanting to ride in one and wanting to never set foot in one are fighting it out inside me.
But if you don't look where you're walking, you might fall from the stage.
I don't think I'd notice. That's how fiercely the battle inside me is raging.
I think you should make peace with riding in one, Mr. Naruhodo. It really would be much safer that way.
Oh, we never investigated this. Oh yeah, because it wasn't here yesterday. I'm dumb. This wasn't here yesterday.
Really? But if I'm not mistaken, it's the cage in which the victim was standing before he was apparently beamed through the air.
Oh, that's right. The bird cage, according to what Professor Harebrain said in court, it's made of wood.
Or more precisely, Japanese cypress, I think. And despite having been in an explosion and then falling from a great height, it's relatively unharmed.
Oh, is this the one that they swapped with?
What wonderfully durable construction, wouldn't you say, Mr. Naruhodo?
I'd understood that the forensic investigation team had taken it away yesterday to examine it. I suppose they must have brought it back here when they finished their work.
But sadly not with the body inside it.
No, that's right. I know we were given strict instructions not to touch anything, but still, this is too important a piece of evidence to overlook. We might need it for the trial. Oh, okay, it's... Alright, they just added the whole ass birdcage.
You'd already met the masked man, hadn't you, Mr. Naruhodo?
Yes, yesterday in fact, at Lord Van Zeek's office.
I see. And if Cosmo-sama really is still alive, it means that Mr. Sholmes lied to us.
I know. We're going to need to speak to him about that.
You're going to have to leave now. The forensic investigation team are due to arrive shortly. If they find you here, it will cause problems.
What sort of problems?
Foreign affairs problems.
Well, we could do without that. Alright, we'll be on our way. Let's go, Mr. Sato.
Of course.
Oh. Gina. We were actually hoping that we could investigate the scene again.
Yeah, alright. If it's around there, you can do what you like.
Oh, that's alright, is it?
I'm gonna be playing with my new friend there.
Ah yes, Toby. Apparently we can't look around on the stage now because the forensic investigation team are at work. Can't you do anything, Gina? In your capacity as Inspector Lestrade?
Look, I'd like to help you out. But I'm just a trainee, aren't I? And nothing I can do.
When it suits you, yes. Okay. Well. Nothing to note then. And we already found the thing here, so. Yeah, Crystal Tower. Every time. Just keep thinking about da na 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 na. Are you sure we asked everything we needed? Well, we can look at the birdcage, I guess. Ah, look here, Mr. Sato.
Oh yes, the wood's cracked and broken a little. I suppose it fell from such a height?
Yes, from the height at which the balloon was flying, down into the crystal tower below. Fall of about 30 feet, or 9 meters.
Leaving the man inside tragically dead.
Oh yeah, we have a crash spot. Anything else of note on the cage? Okay, so that's nothing we need to present to her. That's nothing either. Where am I supposed to go now? Okay. So don't look around yet. I guess we can just look at some of the old evidence. I think we passed by already.
Here's...
I just realized the pillar looks like a disco ball. Oh yeah! It kind of does, little crystal balls.
Here's the scorching on the ground that you mentioned.
Yes, and there's what's left of the green balloon's envelope. All clear evidence of the balloon that exploded on the day of the incident.
Poor Professor Harebrain. I do feel sorry for him that his dreams have been shattered like this.
Someone's well and truly burst his bubble, as it were. Ouch. I'm a bad person.
Ah, the Crystal Tower. I can't believe I'm seeing it at such close proximity with my own eyes.
You've really been looking forward to the great exhibition, haven't you, Mrs. Sato?
Oh yes. When I found out that I had to return to Japan, I'm afraid I cursed my luck.
But here you are, back in London, gazing up at the magnificent tower.
I know. Perhaps I was wrong to curse my luck so harshly. What a shame that the symbolic landmark of the Great Exhibition has been damaged like that.
Yes. Unfortunately, the birdcage crashed in the most prominent position possible. It's the gods giving us a warning, if you ask me. Man must travel under his own steam and not cut corners with instantaneous kinesis.
But imagine what might have happened if the birdcage had landed in a slightly different location. The death toll could have been far worse. So I think perhaps it was a blessing in disguise.
Well, the gods are benevolent, obviously. I did say it was just a warning. Man must travel under his own steam, or next time birdcages will rain down on all of you.
Your faith is so much stronger than I realized.
Well, how do you think I passed the entrance exam for Yume University? It wasn't by studying alone. Fair enough. You know what? I never examined this. So yeah, we got Enoch Drebber. I can't tell if this is like all hand drawn. I guess it is, huh? Oh, what's this? This dark smudge here.
I think perhaps it's machine oil.
Ah, yes, possibly. Professor Harebrain mentioned something about the oil Mr. Drebber uses, didn't he? He said it was specially imported, very high quality oil that's impossible to obtain in Britain. Oh, we're gonna make Gina's dog smell this? Because it's a tracker dog?
Yes, that's right. But more importantly, that it's more fragrant than the finest perfume. So, excuse me a moment. Oh, it doesn't appear to have any scent at all.
Don't worry, I expect that's just because there's such a tiny amount on here. Okay. Yeah, we have the smelly oil. Let's give it to her to show her dog, and we can find the guy. About this, Gina.
Yeah, I'm still learning my letters at the moment.
Oh yeah, right, she's kind of illiterate.
I only know A to E, so if it ain't too much bleating trouble. Ah, actually, Gina, it's the back of the card that's important. Hey, how come? There's just a dirty old smudge on the back, that's all. It turns out this is a very high quality French machine oil. It has a very particular scent, apparently. You don't say. Let's have a whiff then. Yeah, sure. I don't smell nothing.
No, we didn't mean that you should smell it.
Alright. You mean Toby?
Little Toby. His sense of smell is so good he can track people over the oceans, can't he?
Professor Hairbrain informs us that this oil is unique to Mr. Drubber's workshop.
Sniff, 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 sniff. Oh, little good boy. He's such a good boy. I think he's picked up a scent.
So you mean if he follows the scent of this oil, Toby could lead us to that dodgy Cole's workshop? That's right. That's exactly what we were hoping. Alright then, we'll give it a go. I'll just borrow that.
What? Wait, when did you want to pickpocket?
If I can lead everyone to that Drabble's workshop, I'll be the boss's boss before next week. Oh yes, Gina. I'm sure you'll be promoted.
Poor Gregson.
Right then, Odo, leave it to me.
Sorry.
We're gonna get going after that dodgy engineer cove right this minute. Oh, but hang on. Somebody's supposed to be on guard here all the time.
I'm afraid we can't help. We need to get on with our investigation as well, Gina.
Oh, right. Ah, well, never mind. If it ain't gonna be me that what gets it in the neck, it'll be the boss.
Poor Gregson again.
Ready, Toby? Got that oil sense, have ya? Come on then, boy. See you later.
Off she goes.
I do hope that the scent of the oil leads them to the swindler's workshop.
Yes, I hope so too. Ideally before the dog swims across the channel to France. Well, I think we've done all the investigating we can here for now. If we could just determine the whereabouts of Mr. Drebber.
I'm sure Gina and little Toby won't let us down. Now then, do you think we ought to try to speak with Mr. Sholmes at this point? We have things to discuss, and I'm dying to meet with him again after all these months.
Yes, it's quite possible he might know something useful. You're right. We ought to find him at Madame Tuspel's. He's supposed to be working there as a temporary waxwork exhibit.
Yes! Iris told me all about his latest unusual adventure.
Alright. We're going back to the wax museum. We're gonna see Mr. Spell again.
Oh my. No wonder it's called the House of Horrors. I like to turn on my heels and go straight home via the confectionery.
Being scared makes you crave sweets? I can understand that.
But you know, there's something about that waxwork over there.
Yep, there he is.
It looks exactly like Mr. Sholmes down to the very last detail.
Aha!
What is it?
Oh, sorry. I think you'll find that's the temporary waxwork himself.
Ah, the friend of my dedicated employee.
Oh yes, hello again. It's Renosuke. Renosuke Naruhodo.
I must say, I am quite spellbound by the great detective. He is a marvel. My precious waxwork is already back where it belongs.
You don't mean...
But yes, the mystery is solved already.
Wow, Mr. Sholmes can really engage his brain when he's hungry enough.
So, as you can see, he has returned to his habitual duties.
Yes.
His habitual duties? Alors, Do not disturb, huh? Hmm? Poor Susato-san. She looks very perplexed.
Huh. If the waxwork is back, doesn't mean we could look at it?
Ah yes, the heavy curtains in the middle of the House of Horrors. Whatever's on the other side of them, you just know it's going to be terrifying, don't you? The sign says it's the Madame Tussauds special exhibit. It seems you have to pay extra to go inside.
I know! Can you believe that? Pay more money. As if we haven't been scared enough already.
It's not my doing, Mr. Naruhodo.
That old policeman isn't here now, obviously.
I still can't believe he just happened to be on the jury, though. I'd understood that London had a population of 6 million people, and yet... You do seem to run into the same people disproportionately often, don't you?
True. Yeah, nothing sus here.
We really do need to speak with Mr. Sholmes, and I'm longing to say hello again. But where is he?
There he goes. I think you might find that,
he's quite nearby, actually. Oh. What do you...
Indeed, my dear fellows, it is I. The world-famous great detective in waxwork, Sherlock Holmes.
Oh, and she's dead. Susato-san! Susato-san! Dun 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 dun. Bum bum bum. Yep, she's dead.
My most humble apologies.
I thought I died and gone to eternal paradise for a moment. Via London.
My dear madam, allow me to make amends by offering you a tasty free deduction at some point.
As long as it's not of a questionable street food quality.
I don't understand. Why are you working as a waxwork here, Mr. Sholmes?
Merely a secret identity, you understand. Though the case is largely solved now.
Largely solved?
We're talking about the waxwork abduction, I presume.
Indeed we are, my good fellow. As I predicted, it was as easy as proverbial pie. Though I confess, I'm yet to partake of a pie, proverbial or otherwise, or any food so far today for that matter.
That stomach rumble echoed around the whole museum. So, how did you manage to solve it so quickly?
Ah, well, do remember I said it was largely solved. Anyway, I simply negotiated with the culprit. Are you familiar with the so-called telephone?
Oh yes, it's a most modern invention, allowing you to hold a conversation with people far away. In Japan, the imperial capital and a handful of other cities are connected as yet.
This morning, a telephone call was received here from the perpetrator of the abduction. As such, I was able to negotiate terms, and in the end, the waxwork was returned.
That's amazing!
Just between you and I. It would appear the culprit had always intended to return the stolen waxwork in any event.
Oh, but I wonder whoever was responsible had demanded a ransom, no?
Yes, I think perhaps the ransom demand was necessary to avoid unwanted suspicion regarding the true motive.
But does that not mean your negotiating was entirely unnecessary?
A fact that I must ask you to keep from Madame de Spells at all costs. A hungry young Iris awaits my return to Baker Street, after all.
Poor Iris.
Now then, do I sense that you have some business with the great waxwork?
Okay, what can you tell us? We're in the process of trying to track somebody down.
Oh?
Yes, a man by the name of Enoch Drebber. He's the swindler who duped Professor Hairbrain and the engineer who built the kinesis machine.
A swindler and an engineer? Quite the modern man.
He also seems to be a conjurer of sorts too, with considerable knowledge of stage magic. We really need to locate him before the trial resumes tomorrow morning. But we have so few clues to go on. That's the trouble. Do you have any good ideas?
I have no data yet. It is a capital mistake to have good ideas before one has an idea. If I knew something of the man's appearance, at least, I may be in a better position to help.
Yes, Mr. Drebber's appearance.
Fortunately for you, however, presently I have little to occupy myself and little to fill my stomach. As soon as you find any clue, no matter how small, I should gladly give you my thoughts on it.
Okay, so we have... Before we talk about Cosmo's death, we do have the picture that we were given by Van Zieks. Mr. Sholmes, would you cast your eyes over this photographic print?
It's of Mr. Enoch Drebber, the face of the engineer we seek.
Well, all Englishmen look broadly the same, of course. So looking at the photograph won't be particularly instructive.
Are you right, Mr. Sholmes?
Ah, yes. Forgive me. Very interesting, this. Very interesting indeed.
What's wrong, Mr. Sholmes? You've turned quite pale all of a sudden.
Alright, so I think that gives us a little more talking prop, maybe? Maybe not? Oh, I guess not. Mr. Sholmes, did you lie to us?
My dear Naruhodo, stay that piercing stare. What is this about?
Last winter, when we were first on our way to Great Britain aboard the steamship, your words were very clear.
So then, let us unravel this mystery and discover what events led to this curious murder.
You told us that it was murder, and you examined Cosmo-sama's body.
Indeed. And wherein lies the problem?
We met him earlier today. The victim, Cosmo Asogi.
You're quite sure?
He was wearing some sort of mask and was apparently suffering from amnesia. But yes, I'm quite sure it was Cosmo-sama. You must have known at the time, Mr. Sholmes, that he wasn't actually dead.
Well, I can only assume I was swept up in the murderous atmosphere of the moment. But the fellow wasn't dead at all? Priceless! I don't suppose that performance would pass muster, would it, Mr. Naruhodo?
I can believe that the crewman present at the time made a mistake. But not you, Mr. Sholmes.
I will now tell you something of the first importance, my dear fellow. Great detectives are wont to lie. It will serve you well to remember that.
Please, Mr. Sholmes.
Tomorrow in court, you will find yourself on the threshold of a very great mystery. For now, I'm afraid that is all I can say. I have a suggestion, Mr. Naruhodo. Will you indulge me?
Oh, well, What is it?
As I explained to you when you arrived, the missing waxwork had been returned. And I personally reinstated it in the exhibit from which it was taken, behind those thick curtains.
Oh yes, the Professor exhibit, isn't it?
Would you like to see it? For a mere 5 shillings. That's a special, one-time only price, you understand.
What?
The opportunity won't come again, I might add. Wouldn't you like to see the fruits of my labor?
Oh, well, we do have a rather pressing investigation to carry out. Perhaps we could postpone?
The price is a very reasonable 5 shillings. I think you might find it well worth it.
Are you being quite serious, Mr. Sholmes?
Surely you need only look at my expression to ascertain if this seriousness is a seriousness or silliness.
Yeah. I can never tell with you. That's the point.
Very well, it couldn't hurt. Here's your 5 shillings.
Gratefully received. So, the special exhibit awaits behind the curtain. I invite you to peruse at your leisure.
Well, the money's been spent, so let's go and see the special exhibit.
Through those heavy curtains at last. Alright, so we're gonna actually see what's inside here now. Or I have to click on it. 5 shillings we've had to pay. It doesn't seem right somehow that Mr. Sholmes slipped the money into his own pocket, does it?
No. Ah, we could ask Gina to retrieve it for us, using her special skills.
Pickpocketing police officers and diddling detectives. This is what makes Britain great? Britain great? Not to mention demigod prosecutors taking the law into their own hands, or chip-loving inspectors.
Inspector Gregson comes off rather well in that list, I think.
Okay. We get to see what's inside here. Well, more of a full-on look than before. Huh. The head's missing. That's weird.
Oh dear, I felt a shiver run down my spine as soon as we walked in here.
Mr. Sato! I say we turn on our heels and go straight home via a really, big confectionery.
We certainly can't do that. We've paid 5 shillings already.
True. Actually, now I'm looking a little more closely. We've paid good money to see an exhibit that's clearly incomplete. The nerve of that great diddling detective is far more terrifying than anything else in this place.
This must be what Mr. Sholmes meant when he said the case was largely solved.
Be that as it may, Mr. Sholmes heavily implied there'd be a clue about the engineer in here, didn't he? But where? Since we've paid 5 shillings, let's do 5 shillings worth of investigation, shall we?
Yes, we will get what we paid for.
Is that fear or frustration that's making Miss Sasato's voice tremble? Alright, well, first off, this part of the exhibit looks like the scientist guy, engineer.
This part of the exhibit is just as disturbing as the rest. It looks so real.
It appears to be a young man with a white overcoat. And he has
a large shovel in his hand, too.
Look. Perhaps we should investigate in a little more detail. Can we turn the camera, please? Okay, there we go. What's this here?
Well, this would appear to be a lens in the middle, so I believe it's probably a camera. A camera? But it's so small! British technology is incredible, isn't it? I mean, what about Mr. Sholmes' skin prints? I think perhaps you should treat Mr. Sholmes' inventions as exceptions to the rule. But anyway, why would the man be in a graveyard at night with a camera? I wonder. Perhaps he was trying to capture the moment a dead body came back as a ghost on film. We'll just borrow this for a little while, I think. The camera went from around the neck of the waxwork and then dispels. By looking at the photographic plate inside the camera, we can see what picture was taken. What's a photographic plate? It's a piece of glass coated in a special emulsion that reacts to the light coming in through the lens. If we open the cover at the back of the camera, we should find it. Let's have a look. You should see yourself, Susato-san. Your eyes are shining. You really do like machinery, don't you? What a large shovel. He's holding it rather ominously, isn't he? What on earth was the man doing with a shovel in a graveyard in the middle of the night? Mrs. Sato? Yes? That's a spade, isn't it? No, it's a shovel. No, shovels are for digging. That's for scooping up loose material. It's a spade. We've been through this, Mr. Naruhodo. It's a shovel. No. Although, we haven't considered trowels? We've allowed ourselves to be distracted, I feel. Perhaps we should concentrate on what the man was doing with the implement. So we're going to bury the hatchet? You're right, though. What was the man doing in the graveyard in the first place? That's the real question. Can we see his face now? I can't see his face very well. Can you? Perhaps if I just... Oh! Do you think we should be manhandling the exhibits, Mr. Naruhodo? I'll put it back exactly as it was. Don't worry. Are we knocking him down so we can see his face? Are we just turning it? Oh. Oh, it is the engineer guy. Ah! What on earth? How can... I don't believe it! A black monocle! Mr. Naruhodo, is it possible that this man is... Yes. Wow, he looks even more sickly in the official portrait. It's Enoch Drebber! The color of his hair is different, but it's unmistakably him.
Indeed it is.
Mr. Sholmes!
This man is the subject of your present hunt, I believe.
Yes, that's right. Just who is this man? Why is he here in this exhibit? And why does the convict behind him have no head?
The head was missing when the model was returned by the thief who stole it.
What a surprise. So then the case isn't yet solved, is it?
Did I not say so myself? Largely solved were my words, I believe. But I must locate the missing head. Tote this sweet, as Madame would say, or I'll be in grave trouble. A very hungry Iris still awaits my return to Baker Street, preferably with rations. Ah!
Do you know how, though? Something about this room is strange. Strange? What do you mean? Also, Ram! Holy sheesh! Thank you for the raid! Holy, welcome. Let me just, yeah. How was your stream, Ram? Did you have a good time? I saw you were doing a talk thing. Also, hello Raiders, I'm URAunitB, or my friends call me Drago. I am a variety streamer. Although I say variety, you'll probably see me playing either Final Fantasy 14 or Pokemon related things. So, if you like that, then come on by. I generally play a
other games too, like Monster Hunter and maybe Dark Souls in the future, because I have all the games and I've never really fully beat them because I get lazy. But yeah, if that's your thing, welcome. And right now I'm playing The Great Ace Attorney 2, and I'm on the 3rd episode of the 2nd game. So if you want to avoid spoilers, then this is your warning now. Because this is halfway through the 2nd game of the duology of this series, of this Great Ace Attorney series. We did a podcast for the night. Hope you were doing well. Podcasts are always fun. What kind of subject matter did you cover tonight? Yeah, I'm doing well. Just been the usual work stuff, you know? Just getting by with work and whatnot. That is a repeating sentence if I ever said one. But yeah. It's called Ramble, so we kind of just talk about anything. Oh, it's fun. I'll go back and listen to more of it later, because I did have you on. I did watch you for a while, but then I had to start stream, so yeah, I'll get to watch up and see what else you guys talked about tonight. But yeah, I hope you Raiders have a nice chill time while you're here. But yeah, I will be continuing my readings.
Well, the displays in the House of Horrors are supposed to depict real events, are they not?
Indeed they are, Mrs. Sato. Do go on.
And as terrifying as they are, the scenes in the other exhibits are believable. But this one...
I'm gonna look for a bit. Alright, have a good lurk.
This surely couldn't ever have really have happened, could it?
I think it's time I educated you a little about the nature of the incidents involving the professor 10 years ago.
Ooh, okay, so we're learning a little bit more.
I believe I told you a little about the professor yesterday, did I not? He took the lives of 5 victims, everyone being either a member of the aristocracy,
wow, I can't read today,
or royalty. All were attacked by an enormous hunting hound and had their throats ripped from their bodies.
Oh gosh, an enormous hound? How awful.
After taking the life of his 5th victim, the killer was apprehended. It was a case of unprecedented magnitude in Britain, you understand. Accordingly, the professor was tried in a closed court. No members of the public were permitted.
A closed court? So you mean that the professor's identity...
As you surmised, my dear fellow, his identity was never made public. Naturally, he was found guilty and was summarily sentenced to death by hanging. He was buried in a grave at Lowgate Cemetery, which adjoins the rear of the prison where he had been held. However, that was not the end of the affair.
Oh!
The very night that he was buried, the convicted man came back to life.
Came back to life?
He claims he clawed his way out of the ground and emerged into the moonlight graveyard. The exhibit here depicts that very scene as described by the sole witness to those chilling events.
There was a witness?
But of course, my dear fellow, it was none other than the young man in the white overcoat.
Enoch Drebber. He saw it happen?
I wonder how old Enoch is, based off this and the other part, and his actual portrait being white-haired. So this waxwork model of Enoch Drebber.
10 years ago, the convicted professor, having been gibbeted and buried, emerged from his grave in the dead of night. The sole witness to that unimaginable scene was this young man. From appearances, I would say he was about 20 years old.
It's so horrifying.
Oh, does it break the link? Oh, I haven't seen it do that in a while. That's really funny. Normally... Yeah, it shouldn't be doing that. That's really weird. I could have sworn I fixed that initially. That's so weird. Where is my shoutout command on this? I could have sworn I like put like a space or something. I don't know if that fixed it. But... Okay, that should fix it, I think. Just adding a space. It looks bad, but yeah.
Scared out of his wits, the young Drebber ran to a nearby police station to report the incident. And the sheer terror of what he'd seen is said to have turned his hair white overnight.
Oh, okay, so then his hair did turn white because of this whole thing. Yes, as shown in the photograph we have of him, his hair is completely white.
For the following few days, the story of what he'd seen was on every front page in the capital. The public was frantic for every last detail about the killer who'd come back to life. As you've seen, an exhibit was even created here at Madame Tussauds.
I can quite understand why the man's hair turned white, certainly. But what I don't understand is what Mr. Drebber was doing in the first place, in a lonely graveyard in the middle of the night.
Yes. What was he up to? Okay, we have the camera, so we have to check that out later. After this. Following the execution. Okay, before we touch on this one, I kind of want to look at the camera. Because we did get this as evidence not too long ago. And we didn't get to look at what the last photograph it took was, so we shall see.
What a wonderful machine!
You really love contraptions like this, don't you?
Oh yes, anything mechanical I find absolutely irresistible.
Almost as irresistible, surely.
Well, whenever I see a pocket watch, for example, I can't help myself. I simply have to take it apart.
That's worrying.
Yes, Father tells the time by the rumblings in his stomach now. He's given up on having a watch.
Poor Professor Mikotoba. Okay, so we blood, maybe?
Look, Mr. Naruhodo.
What is it?
On the bellows, just here, there seem to be some very dark red stains.
Yes, you're right. It looks like blood, actually.
Oh my.
I'm sure it's not what you're thinking. Dark staining is visible on the bellows. Whoa, hello, frame rate. Whoa, hello, frame rate. Oh boy. Oh look, the cover came open.
Yes, now there should be a glass plate inside. And you have to change the plate with each new photograph you want to take, you see.
Is something wrong?
There is no plate. It's been removed.
Ah, what a pity. But I suppose if you think about it, this wouldn't be the actual camera that was used at this time, just like the waxwork isn't the actual person. So we never have found a photographic print of the executed convict coming back to life anyway.
Oh, yes, you're quite right, of course.
Poor Susato-san. She looks devastated. Aw, man, I thought that was going to lead to something. This stain, though, definitely suggests that this might be the original camera. Possibly. You know? There's definitely more to it than just that.
The professor's acts of terror threw London's upper classes into complete panic 10 years ago. It was a great scandal, one might say, at the very highest levels of society. And since the killer's identity was never made public, rumors abounded. After all, No killer had ever before systematically employed a dog as a weapon of murder.
Yes, I can imagine the impact the case must have had.
But in time, of course, the rumors abated. So too did talk of the shocking witness account of the convict who came back to life. It was forgotten, dismissed as a dubious ghost story, as a preposterous parlor tale.
But why did people stop believing it?
Why? Simply because there was no resurrection to speak of, as was established in fact.
What do you mean by no resurrection?
The police investigated the grave in Lowgate Cemetery and published their findings. The convict's body was found to be buried exactly where it had been following the execution.
No. But that would mean Mr. Drebber must have lied to the police and the newspapers.
That would appear to be the only logical explanation, yes. The young man subsequently vanished from society, and nothing has been heard of him since. It's rather striking, then, that he should resurface now, don't you think?
Of course, the convicted murderer couldn't really have come back to life. That's not possible. But Drebber's hair is unusually white, and if that really did happen overnight as a result of shock, it's hard to believe that the incident was out and out a lie. Hey, Sholmes, can you tell us anything on this camera? Oh, wait, this is not the present menu. Oh, nope, nope, that's failed dialogue. Complete failure dialogue. Alright. Okay. So we only examined this so far. I probably should be investigating other stuff, so let's try to look at the professor statue.
This must be the killer, the fiend known as the Professor.
Yes, I think so. According to what Madame Tuspel said, he killed 5 victims, all of noble or royal blood.
The waxwork is so lifelike, isn't it? Like all the bottles in this place.
I know. It looks like it could start moving at any moment, doesn't it? If only it had a head, that is. Perhaps we should examine it in a little more detail.
So this is the condemned man.
Yes, the so-called Professor.
Then perhaps his head was chopped off by a guillotine? But unable to find peace, he emerged from his grave as a headless ghost?
Do we have to entertain such terrifying ideas, Mrs. Sato? Anyway, I'm sure the model had a head once. There's a metal fitting for it, see?
Then perhaps Mr. Sholmes absent-mindedly forgot to reattach it?
That's an extremely absent-minded detective you're describing, isn't it?
Or perhaps the thief absent-mindedly forgot to include the head when he or she returned it to the museum?
And that would be an extremely absent-minded thief. Could there have been some reason why only the head wasn't returned? Well, whatever the reason, it means we don't know what the face of the infamous professor looked like, do we? Oh. There's something caught just inside the convict's jacket here. It looks like a piece of broken glass. And quite a big piece, too. They used it! Oh my gosh, this is definitely suggesting that they used this mannequin, which I think is the case, to use as the body double for what happened to the Crystal Tower, because that's a big chunk of glass. Oh shit, I'm guessing, my brain, my deductive reasoning.
It's very thick, isn't it? About 5 times thicker than normal glass window glazing, I'd say.
Where would such a thick piece of glass have come from, I wonder?
I suppose it must have been made thick to increase its strength.
But why? Well, perhaps because the glass had to span a particularly wide area, such as in a big building, for example. Ah, well, we've seen a large glass building recently, haven't we? And some of the glass was broken, too.
You don't mean...
Exactly. The Crystal Tower at the Great Exhibition. But why would glass from the Crystal Tower be lodged inside this waxworks jacket? It makes you think, doesn't it? I'm so happy to see my guesses being proven right, slowly and surely. Earlier in court, we established that the kinesis experiment was a trick, and now we discovered this fragment of glass here in the waxwork. Is this just a coincidence? I would say no. It's definitely sus as all heck. Ah? Oh, Gina.
Whoa, please, Nora, Oda, what have you gone and done?
Gina, what are you doing here?
I asked Iris and she said this is where you'd be, so...
Gina, that's a lot in the museum.
Madame, the spell will have you take a position as a waxwork if you're not careful.
I think there might be a more pressing concern.
I stole that flashpad I left from 6 months ago, so...
Alright, Gina, we understand.
But please, put down the gun. Sorry, I got scared.
You should try being the one on the other end of this barrel. So what brings you here, Gina?
What brings me here? What do you think? We found that dodgy girl's workshop.
What? You found Trevor's workshop?
Yup. Toby's nose took me straight there. The boss and the others are heading over there now in the drag, so come on. Here's the address. I got the bus to write it out. Oh, thank you, Gina. We'll make our way there at once. Alright then. See you there.
Nope.
You go. Don't mind me. I'll just stay here, being still.
What?
I know my place. In the exhibit over there.
Oh dear. Someone is feeling sorry for himself.
Let's go, Mr. Sholmes. You're coming.
Your words hearten me, I must say. But if I were to shirk my duties here, Madame would have me pay monetary recompense and Iris's dinner.
Forget that! I'll pay for everything.
There's not a moment to lose, my dear fellow. I shall hail a carriage at once.
Oh, and there he goes. No offer to share the cost for Mr. Sholmes, then.
I shall gladly pay half, Mr. Naruhodo.
Thank you, Mrs. Sato. Right. Let's go! We're making progress. Ooh, a lot of reading today, though. That looks like...
Oh, it's another super high voltage instantaneous kinesis machine.
Indeed, it would appear so. Though only a prototype, naturally.
Ah, so you got there then. Gina, well done for finding this place. And in such a little time, you've really worked miracles. Hey, Toby, who is the miracle worker?
Ah, I thought your lot would show up before long.
Hello, Inspector. That's one knitted brow. He looks like he's eating a lemon, not a bag of fish and chips.
So, Inspector, is there any sign of the engineer?
Sadly not. We didn't find a soul in here.
Oh, what a shame. Well, thank you for letting us know about this place and giving us a chance to investigate.
According to what Gina tells me, we only found it thanks to a clue that your lot turned up. What I want to say, go to Paris with a debt of gratitude unpaid now, would I?
Thank you.
Anyway, yeah, if you're hoping to snoop around in here, I'd get cracking. Lord Van Zeeks and the forensic investigation team are on their way here as we speak.
Them again.
I imagine you've got the picture by now. They don't take too kindly to lawyer types.
Right.
So then, my dear fellow, let's turn this place upside down whilst we have the chance. Man, you, Soames. Pardon? They take even less kindly to great detectives than they do to lawyers.
Very droll, Gregson. Very droll. But you may consider me nothing more than an inconspicuous waxwork model. Right then. Let's see what we can find in here.
I'm sorry, Mr. Naruhodo. The machine is covered by the Special Dispensation for Scientific Equipment Act. There would be serious repercussions if you were to examine it from the Crown and the government.
There they go, though. Well, those two don't seem to be holding back. It's quite hollow inside. No working parts or devices of deception to be seen, my dear fellow.
No loose change dropped on the floor or nothing. Not even a bone for Dobby, my dear fellow. British people are very much ruled by their own ideals, aren't they?
I think that's just these two, Miss Susato. How about this trophy? Ah, this appears to be most interesting. Yes, most interesting indeed, wouldn't you say? It's an impressive looking back massager, that's for sure. I have no doubt that if you hit your shoulders a few times with that, your aches and pains would go away. It's a Royal Society trophy for excellence in science. A young scientist could wish for no higher honor. Would you like a massage?
No. No, I'm fine, thank you.
I had no idea it was such a grand thing.
I think it's becoming increasingly clear that there's much more to this Mr. Enoch Drebber than conjuring tricks.
I couldn't agree more, my dear madam. And how about you, Mr. Naruhodo? Wouldn't you like to take it with you? For your tired shoulders, of course. He's not going to let that go, is he?
It's curious, though, isn't it? You would expect such an important trophy to be proudly on display somewhere, not haphazardly cast aside. English gentlemen can be quite a mystery at times.
Okay, what does this trophy got to tell us? Anything interesting? Or this piece of glass? This piece of glass is almost as thick as it is wide.
Yes, I've never seen anything like it.
If you were to compare it to a human, only Mr. Cholmes has such thick skin.
There's really no need for such a comparison, Mr. Naruhodo, as you well know.
Anyway, it can only be from the Crystal Tower, surely.
Yes, I think so, too. It was probably made especially to meet the demands of that great structure.
Okay, so nothing else significant about this other than my suspicions. I guess the plaque. There's a little metal plaque here, look. Fostering burgeoning talent for the future of scientific discovery.
It seems rather ironic, doesn't it?
But clearly Mr. Drebber really was a very talented scientist. Is that it? Is that about the trophy? Did I miss anything else? I don't think so. Let's see. What else is here? So we got this door. This door doesn't want to open.
Yeah, looks like it's got a pretty hefty lock on it.
There's a specialist locksmith on his way over from the yard, so hands off till he gets here. With permission, Inspector. I could have that lock open in less than a minute. Well, you don't have permission, and no one's giving it to you.
Gregson looked as though he really enjoyed that. That was a very smug look from Gregson. I don't think he was ever made that pose in his model, actually.
Well, there's no sound of anybody on the other side.
No. Drebber must have fled at the first sign of danger. Ooh, arrows. Like the crossbow. This is... It's a European-style quiver of arrows with steel bolts inside.
Oh! Do you use the pose?
Crossbow bolts these. And just the right size for the bow you lot turned up at the exhibition grounds.
In other words...
Yep. That's more evidence to support your theory. It all goes to show that Drebber was the one pulling the strings behind the scenes of the whole scam.
Oh, and since he knows about the waxwork figure of himself, that would definitely give cause for him to steal the one of the professor as a perfect body type match. Also thud.
Oh.
Is something wrong with Susato?
Well, I thought I heard a noise from the far side of that door. Well, Gina, did you hear it too? Yeah, I heard it and all. What do you reckon, Toby?
I love Toby.
Right. Mind the grease.
Ooh.
Whoever's in there, open up. This is Scotland Yard.
Oh, they running.
Oh my, someone is in there.
Ah, this rotten bleeding lock.
My dear Gregson, as I said only minutes ago, if only it were countenanced, I could unlock that door in less than a minute. He's thinking about it.
Fine. I'll take the rap for it. Just get us through that blasted door.
There, you may enter at will. You've confused minutes with seconds, I think. Time is of the essence, I feel. What are we waiting for?
Nothing for it, I suppose. This is an emergency.
There's a strong possibility that beyond that door is the engineer you all seek. Be prepared for action, my dear Philip.
Yes.
Well, someone was in a hurry. We heard a clunk noise. So, I want to say they're hiding in the safe. But, there's also the closet there. And that's also very plausible, so I guess we'll see. What's happened in here? Also, there's a bomb on the floor, apparently. Why is everything upside down?
Rats, there ain't no one in here after all. But there must be. It was only moments ago that we heard those noises.
Maybe that was the sound of Drebber running away.
But there's only one door into this room.
And no windows that could afford an escape route. Those skylights are too high. There are feet on the roof, though. What's that up there? Are they footprints? On the ceiling?
Blow me! What do we have here then? Looks like someone was trying to burn something in a hurry.
Oh, that looks like a set of blueprints.
To what?
To that Professor Hairbrain's Barbie machine, is it? Blimey! If we had these, there'd been no need to muck around trying to investigate all that scrap metal.
There is something of great interest here, too.
This rope was lying on the floor at the foot of that pillar.
A rope? What's significant about that?
Never mind. You see, but you do not observe, Mr. Naruhodo.
We must investigate this entire room thoroughly, and before the forensic investigation team arrive too.
Alright, so I'm just gonna say it. We're gonna investigate the elephant in the room. Or the time bomb, as it were. Mr. Sholmes? Have you found something?
Ah, Mr. Naruhodo. Yes, in fact. Yes, in point of fact. Something rather fascinating. What do you make of this?
Let's see. I've never seen anything like it before. It looks like a bundle of thick... Ah! Miss Sasato, what's the matter?
That's a... Surely that's a time bomb, isn't it?
What did you say?
A time bomb?
Sorry, but... What is a time bomb, exactly?
You truly are one of a kind, Mr. Naruhodo.
I won't take that as a compliment.
You don't know nothing, do ya, Oda?
You haven't got a clue what it is either, do you, Gina?
I invite you to consult a dictionary later, Mr. Naruhodo. But this particular specimen is no time bomb, though I confess it has a very similar appearance.
Oh, well, thank goodness. But then, what is it?
I see. So that's it.
Goodness, Mr. Sholmes, have you seen to the heart of the matter?
There are times when I consider my loss most unfair, for I'm fated never to know how it feels to flounder as you do when a puzzle presents itself. But I have learned to accept the hardships that come with being a great detective, Mr. Sato.
Here we go. I feel a great deduction coming.
Once again, I can draw two conclusions on the scene we see before us. The first is that the inverted nature of the furniture in this room is the work of Mr. Drebber himself.
Oh, but how could you...
And the second conclusion is that the small device on the floor there is, without question, completely genuine.
Please, Mr. Sholmes, you must explain everything.
It would be a pleasure. After all, it is a great detective's civic duty to teach Cotton and Yard the finer points of the trade.
Well, Inspector Gregson seems delighted with the idea anyway.
Oh, you deflected the inspector's glare with such fortitude there, Mr. Sholmes. Well done.
You're too kind, my dear madam. I hereby dedicate this great deduction to you. Kindly stand just there, Mr. Sato.
Oh yes, I'd be delighted.
So, shall we begin? Once again, Herlock Sholmes is proud to present his Logic and Reasoning Spectacular. It's plain to see that this room is in complete disarray. The bed, the table and chairs, the lamp, everything is upside down. Almost as if every item in the room had, until recently, been happily positioned on the ceiling, before falling straight down onto the floor. Every item in the room was on the ceiling.
Every item in the room was on the ceiling? Are you suggesting that...
Indeed. The key here. What the is gravity?
Alright, Sholmes, you're really pulling it out of your ass this time, aren't you?
It would appear that technology has at last succeeded in freeing us from the great pull of Earth. Well, the gravity in this room was reversed, and then suddenly restored to normality.
Goodness.
The inverted furniture clearly reveals the truth about the part gravity played in the whole business. I quite understand your skepticism, Mr. Sato. I, too, was incredulous at first. However, my conviction in my analysis was cemented when I observed this. An anti-gravity device, almost identical to one that featured in a dream of mine only the other day, in fact. What?
But, then why does it have a clock on it?
A most relevant question indeed. That is a timing device that controls when the gravity direction will switch. There was clearly a requirement for the engineer to be able to restore normal gravity automatically. And the commotion we heard earlier from the other side of the door was the moment that restoration occurred. Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the anti-gravity device. So you see, we need to look no further to explain the state of which we must find this room. The direction in which gravity acts in here was reversed by Mr. Trevor, before being restored to normality in an automatic fashion sometime later by the timer device. I have witnessed precisely this scene of a dream I once had when I fell out of bed.
Oh boy, that's, oh boy. Alright, let's see what he's got to say about this.
Now let us consider the next conundrum.
Oh, oopsies.
What was our engineer's friend's aim? Indubitably, the greatest clue we have to explain his actions is above our heads. Yes,
how is it possible that there are footprints all the way up there on the ceiling?
A question whose answer will lead us neatly to the truth, my dear madam. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of a nearby skylight. Of course, Trevor's aim was singular, to escape. However, there is but one way into this room, excepting the skylight, that is.
Ah.
Oh, okay.
By inverting the gravity in here, Trevor was able to fall conveniently to the ceiling and make his escape via the otherwise inaccessible skylight, leaving those footprints behind on the way.
But the ceiling in here is very high, Mr. Sholmes. If the gravity reversal was sudden, wouldn't Mr. Dripper have fallen up to the ceiling rather violently?
Falling up is both scientifically and philosophically a rather interesting concept, I feel. But the man was cornered with nowhere to run, so escape through the skylight was his only option. You may recall that I found this in the room earlier, which I believe offers a solution.
Oh, the rope?
To reach the intended destination, what better tool than this rope? By anchoring one end to the wall, the man was able to lower himself safely to the ceiling. Which explains how Mr. Drepper was able to escape this room before our arrival. He reversed the pull of gravity and fled via the skylight. And personally, I should very much like to reverse the pull of gravity again now, just for fun.
Alright, so this is going to be an interesting thing to correct.
Thus concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of this topsy-turvy puzzle.
Gregson is so fucking dumbfounded. She's completely spellbound. Mr. Sholmes, there's just one thing that troubles me.
I would expect nothing less. You're destined to be troubled by just one thing for the rest of your life.
The thing is such a thing actually possible? An anti-gravity device, I mean.
I would say that with man's current scientific knowledge at the turn of the 20th century, it is no more possible than instantaneous kinesis.
But your whole deduction hinges on it!
Ah, but my dear fellow, when you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. However improbable it may seem.
Uh-huh.
It's a marvelous line, wouldn't you agree? One of my more enduring pearls of wisdom. I had Iris come up with the exact phrasing. My original was clumsy.
Yes, I have a feeling I've read it in something that Mr. Sato lent me once.
Objection!
Actually, there is one other thing, Mr. Sholmes.
Ah, the spell's broken at last.
The rope you found was on the floor, wasn't it?
Indeed it was, in lonely coils near the wall.
But if Mr. Dripper had used it to escape in the way you described, wouldn't it still be tied to the wall?
Mysteries inevitably unravel in the end, as I think you'll find do ropes. And as evidence of such, you need only look at the mystery we face in this room, now skillfully unraveled.
That argument is as circular as the coils of rope.
I think perhaps we might need to give Mr. Sholmes the usual little helping hand. I'm sure with other minor corrections, the great detective's great deduction will lead us to the truth.
Yes, you're right. And we must do it quickly before Enoch Dripper gets too far away.
If you're ready, then let us resume. Sherlock Holmes's logic and reasoning is spectacular.
Alright, it's time for some course correction.
It's plain to see that this room is in complete disarray. The bed, the table and chairs, the lamp, everything is upside down. And almost as if every item in the room had until recently been happily positioned on the ceiling, before falling straight down onto the floor.
Every item in the room was on the ceiling. Are you suggesting that...
Indeed, the key here is gravity. It would appear that technology has at last succeeded in freeing us from the great pull of the Earth. For the gravity in this room was reversed, and then suddenly restored to normality.
Goodness!
The inverted furniture clearly reveals the truth about this part of gravity.
Do you think gravity could have been reversed in this very room? I find the whole idea utterly enthralling. Only Mr. Sholmes could conceive such an explanation.
But the man himself admitted it was a scientific impossibility, so...
Yes, you're quite right. We must completely discount this idea at once.
Oh, that's unusually merciless of you, Miss Sato.
When you have eliminated the impossible, whatever remains must be the truth. The great detective himself said so, didn't he?
While refusing to part with his dreams of anti-gravity devices.
Yes, I suppose so.
Well, let's see if examining this topsy-turvy scene a little more closely reveals some proof that shows exactly what the gravity in this room was or wasn't doing. Okay, so what do we got to see about this room? Clearly something is amiss. This vase is upright. Well, well, I wasn't expecting to find a pretty bunch of flowers here, that's for sure.
Huh, look at that!
I know, that's a slender little vase looks about as a topple at any moment, but the flowers are thriving. Somehow it makes you think of the fragility of life, wouldn't you say?
To be honest, Mr. Naruhodo, something else about it made a rather deeper impression on me.
It is upright.
The upright vase clearly reveals the truth about the part gravity played in this whole business.
Upon my word, Mr. Naruhodo, you've surpassed yourself by completely turning my argument on its head. Trying to impress your assistant here, perhaps?
No, one is trying to steal your spotlight here, Mr. Sholmes, trust me.
As you rightly say, though it appears at first glance that all the furniture in this room is upside down. This unassuming slender vase is standing keenly to attention. And unlike the large safe, there is nothing affixing it to the floor.
And it's the exception that breaks the rule.
In short, as much as it pains me, the gravity in this room was never inverted at all!
My deepest sympathies for your loss.
Oh, poor Mr. Sholmes.
But the show must go on, so let us continue with our deductions. Now that we know this contrivance is not in fact an anti-gravity device, there remains but one other possibility.
You don't say.
Someone deliberately turned over every piece of furniture in here.
Which might sound obvious, but leaves one mystery very much unsolved. Namely, why would anyone choose to do that?
Quite. And naturally there is an explanation. Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the anti-gravity device.
He's absolutely determined that this device must have something to do with it, doesn't he?
I'm afraid the lure of an exciting scientific explanation is too strong.
Well, there's no doubt that somebody did this. Somebody turned all this furniture over. So whoever it was must have had a reason.
I'm afraid nothing comes to mind at all, though.
Well, let's look around and see if the answer presents itself. Aha! A safe combination. Look, there's something written on the other side of this armchair.
Oh yes, safe. 432582.
Safe? As in safe and secure?
As in secure, lockable box, I think.
Admittedly, more likely.
Well, there is a large safe bolted to the floor on the other side of the room, so yes.
So you mean this number would let us open it?
I wonder why it's written here, though.
Take that!
Yes, the reason why everything in here has been turned upside down is because of the safe combination.
Precisely. I believe, Mr. Naruhodo, that you had a very similar experience once, did you not?
Yes, last year. When I bought a lottery ticket and noted the ticket number down on the inside cover of a book just in case.
That's it. For people who are forgetful souls at heart and always make a written note of important information.
Just keeping the ticket itself safe would be more sensible, I think.
And what, pray, happened next, Mr. Naruhodo?
When the day of the draw came around, I had forgotten which book I'd written the number in and had to turn my book upside down to find it.
That's it. For people who are forgetful souls at heart and always forget that they've noted things down.
Not if you always note things in the same place.
I actually won the second prize, you know. But I couldn't remember which magazine I slipped the ticket into, so I had to...
Thank you, Mr. Naruhodo, but I believe I've proved my point now. Which is that a very similar scenario has clearly unfolded in this room.
Finding himself requiring access to the safe, the occupant of this room needed the combination code. He remembered that he'd written it on the underside of a piece of furniture, but forgot which one. Leading to the state in which we now find the room.
Yes, Mr. Drebber overturned all the furniture in here in desperate hurry to locate the combination
Bless me.
code that would unlock the safe.
Interesting.
Now let us consider the next conundrum. What was our engineer friend's aim? Indubitably, the greatest clue we have to explain this action is above our heads.
Yes, how is it possible that there are footprints all the way up there on the ceiling?
A question whose answer will lead us neatly to the truth, my dear madam. The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby skylight.
Well, if a change in the direction of gravity can't explain it, then how did those footprints get there?
Yes, I feel as though that particular mystery has just become even harder to solve.
I can't think of any other way to explain it all. Oh, life was so much simpler in those halcyon days when gravity could be reversed.
It was minutes ago, and those halcyon days never existed in the first place.
Well, I suppose we must simply put our faith in Mr. Sholmes and observe the area in more detail.
Putting our faith in Mr. Sholmes is what gets us into these situations in the first place. Shoe? It's hard to believe, but there's a shoe up there, look!
Oh yes, and there are more footprints on this little balloon too. Perhaps the shoe was thrown up there and became lodged, do you think?
If so, then judging from the number of footprints, it must have been thrown up there several times. Oh. Why would anyone be throwing shoes up on the ceiling, though?
Oh dear, that's beyond me, I'm afraid.
Is it because they were trying to fake that they had footprints up there? This is a gas balloon, isn't it? It's tiny, but does it seem to be a real balloon?
Yes, I think you're right.
I think it's helium that's keeping it up. Also, it's green, like what we know of the balloon. A green gas balloon. Why does that seem to ring a bell with me?
If you can see, there are footprints on this balloon too, look.
Oh yes. Surely that's a clue, isn't it? Though what it tells us, I'm not sure. Well, I'm guessing that we're presenting the shoe, if anything. Because it does explain why there's footprints on the ceiling.
Take that!
The reason there are footprints on the ceiling is because of the nearby shoe. And on closer inspection, there are clearly footprints all over the balloon as well. In other words, the aim was never the skylight at all, but the balloon.
But for what purpose?
A green balloon. That seems somewhat familiar data. It's a piece of green balloon.
It was a piece of green balloon. This envelope that Mr. Naruhodo and Iris found at the scene.
And inside the green balloon that Mr. Gotts claims he saw above the stage when the incident occurred was the second birdcage, the crux of the whole instantaneous kinesis deception.
You mean to say?
If we assume the balloon in here is a model of the one used on the day, there's a strong possibility something may be concealed inside it. Something our absconder was desperate to retrieve before making a hasty getaway. But the balloon is out of reach. Hence why he resorted to a projectile, namely the shoe. Most probably, Drebber intended to tear a hole in the envelope by assailing it with the shoe. However, his efforts were thwarted when the shoe itself became a prisoner of those lofty heights.
Oh dear, we desperately need to examine the balloon. If only there was some way we could see inside.
You may recall that we found this in the room area, which I believe offers a solution.
Oh, the rope!
To reach the intended destination, what better tool than a rope?
Mr. Sholmes has managed to bring the deduction back to the rope!
Alright, I have to admit, that was clever. So we just throw the rope onto the balloon and then pull it down to us on the ground? Which is much easier said than done, I feel. It could take us a very long time as well. True. Perhaps we need a more surefire method. In fact, we already have one, of course, don't we?
Take that!
To reach the intended destination, what better tool than the crossbow? That was found at the scene, in fact. And in all likelihood belongs to Mr. Drebber.
If the man had only brought it half away with him that day, he could have avoided losing a shoe at such a critical time as this.
Is it gonna have the head in it? That'd be interesting.
So, shall we? Your curiosity is deeply stirred, no doubt, my dear fellows. What is it that Mr. Enoch Drebber has hidden inside the balloon?
Please be the head. There it is, baby!
Ah!
What the?
A waxwork?
Indeed it is. A waxwork head inside a metal mask. A mask that is shut tight and fastened with a strong and quite impenetrable lock.
So we can't see the face inside. That means... Just a moment, this is the head of a waxwork model? Does that mean... Oh goodness!
I see you've joined the dots, Mr. Sato. Excellent.
Ah, of course! A headless waxwork model. The case of the abducted Madame Tuspel's model that you'd largely solved. It was only the head of the killer that was still missing.
Indeed it was. But I believe Miss Madame Tuspel's will now have to settle for her sizable account with me. This, as you have now surmised, is the head of the infamous Professor.
Yes. But why is it here?
This conclusively confirms my suspicions. The man responsible for stealing the Professor from the Madame Tuspel's and returning it, sans tête earlier today, was none other than Enoch Drebber.
This is incredible. Professor Harebrain's case and the waxwork abduction are... They're inextricably linked by Enoch Drebber's workshop. Yay.
I was right, baby! Okay.
Well, it appears our logical pleasure cruise has come to an end, my dear fellows. All that remains is, yes, to speak with the architect of this adventure.
The architect? You mean Mr. Drebber?
As it seems quite impossible that he escaped via one of the skylights. Obviously, the man must still be here in this room, in the safe, baby!
What?
And his location should be abundantly clear. If you simply reflect on the journey we've made together during this deduction.
Enoch Drebber is right here, somewhere in this room?
So Mr. Naruhodo, will you do the honors?
Yes, of course. Mr. Drebber's hiding place must be the...
There it is. Ah! Wait, no, I'm not gonna read this. I want to just present the safe, please. There we go.
Take that!
Before we gained access to this back room, we heard noises from in here.
Which tells us that the engineer was still in the building at that point in time.
He was in fact searching for the combination to his safe.
And pressed for time, made no attempt to right the furniture that he had overturned in the process, from which we can deduce that his search for the combination happened very recently indeed. In summary, Mr. Enoch Drebber is at this very moment inside the safe. This concludes Herlock Sholmes' great deduction of this topsy-turvy puzzle.
Yay.
We finally got to the deduction part. So, like, how much more of this investigation section is there? I wonder. I wonder if we're near the end. So, yeah, Especially because it's almost been 3.5 hours, so I wonder if we're near the end of this segment finally.
So, Mr. Naruhodo, I think perhaps it's time we ended this game of hide-and-seek, don't you?
By opening the safe, you mean?
What else?
Let's see. The combination was
432582.
I knew that! Alright then, here it goes. My dude. That looks uncomfortable as all hell.
You found me.
Sir? You alright there? Oh my god, he's a dancer.
Right then, sir. Mr. Enoch Dribber, I presume?
Correct. You better start talking. You trick Professor Hairbrain with that bogus machine you built.
And you shall have to explain the theft of the waxwork from Madame to Spells as well.
Whilst I would be delighted to answer your many questions. Personally, I would advise that you deactivate my little parcel first.
Deactivate?
Your parcel?
I refer, of course,
to the time bomb I left in the most prominent position.
Ha, ha, ha. I see. Stunned silence. You're all gearing up to die with me, then.
No. Mr. Sholmes, with only 7 seconds to spare.
That was too close for comfort. I've got 1 foot in the grave already.
Are you trying to help us get a killer or get us killed?
Mr. Sholmes' deductions can be completely eye-faltering, can't they?
Well, my dear fellows, that was a close shave. The resemblance to an anti-gravity device is quite startling, I must say.
Anti-gravity devices don't exist.
Phew, I wouldn't push it, Mr. Sholmes. Oh, there's more. I guess we could talk to him a bit. What on earth happened in here? You've found me, haven't you? No need to screw me down any further. Everything in here is precisely what it seems.
Yeah, well, we'll be giving it a thorough going over, don't you worry, Dribber.
What fails to click with me is how you weren't able to locate my workshop, and that I was not expecting. When I heard whistling from the other room, I knew it was time to go.
Whistling?
Ah, that would have been me.
Oh.
For some reason, I woke in fine fettle today. No words, just tightly squeezed chips. Clearly I must have a screw loose, though, as I couldn't remember the combination for the safe. And another one loose, as I couldn't remember on which piece of furniture I'd written it down. We also found a rope over by the wall. Yes, I hoped to exit through the skylight, but sadly, the rope was too short. So I then set about searching for the combination code to open the safe. And burning the incriminating blueprints. Don't forget. Regrettably, though, you failed to retrieve the head from the balloon among the rafters. And after that, you hid yourself inside the safe? Having first set this parcel ticking.
Well, I had no intention of being nailed by the police.
I really like this character already.
Got a death wish, have ya? Hiding right beside a ticking time bomb. Please, why do you suppose I chose to hide inside the safe?
It's no ordinary safe. It's specially designed. A dynamite explosion wouldn't leave a scratch on it. So in fact, the safe was the only safe place.
Precisely.
But once you climb inside, you wouldn't have been able to get out again.
I invite you to look more closely. The safe is fitted with a handle on the inside to allow the door to be unlocked from within. Ah, so it is. I had always intended to blow this place to smithers in any case. I just wasn't expecting uninvited guests to come along and screw up my plans.
Do you mean to say you were planning to blow us all up?
No, that was unforeseen. What do you mean? Most people run, you see, when they see a ticking time bomb at their feet. I calculated the time required for retreat to a safe distance and set the device accordingly. But your seemingly endless discourse in here threw a spanner in the works. Is something wrong, Gregson? Do I have something on my face, besides the usual eyes, no ears, nose, and mouth? I think we have a fairly good idea of what's been going on here now. But what about the 2 incidents you've evidently been involved in recently? Professor Harebrain's instantaneous kinesis experiment at the Great Exhibition. And the waxwork model you stole, which is this head belongs to. That's no ordinary head, you know. That's the head of the Professor. Clad in a mask with a lock so strong I'm unable to open it safely to reveal the killer's identity. I've been considered carrying it around as protection. That's enough. That's enough.
What's going on here, Gregson? I'm sure you're aware that I have sole jurisdiction to investigate here.
Yes, well.
Dr. Sith again. So the forensics investigation team is here.
And you know full well this engineer is a key witness. Why are you allowing this lawyer to access to him? If Lord Strongheart knew this, you'd be finished. You lot, leave at once.
My dear madam, there is no need for such a threatening tone, I assure you. After all, that's no way to greet an old acquaintance, is it, Dr. Sith?
Hello, Sholmes.
Mr. Sholmes knows Dr. Sith? Scythe? Probably Scythe. Makes more sense. It's protecting the machine next door that's causing such a sour expression on your face. You are quite misguided. It's really nothing more than a shell. You get out. But of course, we'll show ourselves the door. I see you haven't softened at all. Mr. Naruhodo? Yes? It would appear that our delightfully entertaining investigations have run their course for today. But Mr. Sholmes! Let us leave this place in the doctor's capable hands.
I said get out now! All of you. Your presence here is not required either, Gregson.
Understood. But I'll just say one thing before I head off. If it wasn't for this lawyer and his companions, we'd never have found this place. and the whole workshop would have been blown to bits. There was a time bomb set in here that this lot disarmed.
Inspector.
Good. Something's giving you a chuckle, hasn't it, Drebber?
Ah, so sorry. Didn't mean to offend. You're quite right, of course. You did disarm the time bomb, didn't you? Yes, you did disarm that one. Eh? What are you? That one? Yeah, I mean. Oh dear God. Oh. Oh no. Oh boy. It was an hour later that we heard the news of the enormous explosion that ripped through the experimentation stage at the Great Exhibition. Professor Harebrain's invention, and all its secrets, were blown away forever. We have blueprints, though. We got the blueprints that he tried to burn. That was a good section. Very good. Very good. Story is really keeping me on my toes. I am very curious how the rest of this case is gonna go, because we're going back into the trial already, so. And guaranteed it's 2 parts, but like, damn. The plot be thickening. So, yeah. I guess we're gonna find out next time. So, probably next week, same time. And, yeah. We're just gonna... We're just gonna see how it goes from there. Well, I hope you all had a good child time. I'm gonna go find somebody to raid who I don't know who is online. Okay, so we raided Coco last time. I see Trim is online, and I see Aru's online. Let's raid Trim. We haven't raided Trim. I will leave you all in the capable hands of Trim. And Kip, I think? Yeah. But yeah, I shall leave you all to it.